You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Tuesday? Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Magic numbers, Mark. 79 and 86. 79 days to the start of the college football season, 86 days to the start of the NFL season. If you're counting Nebraska Northwestern over in Dublin, the magic number's 74.
There you go.
Huh?
There you go.
10 and a half weeks, baby.
Can make that happen.
And then for those of you that count the stuff that Miller and Moulton have never counted, I mean, if you think preseason football actually counts, well, then, you're a lost cause because, Mark, what's the only thing that counts in August football?
Injuries, David.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's been proven year after year, yet, there's a whole country that believes that there's something more to it. But
I got to see how the depth is at linebacker.
Who's fighting for that 8th and 9th O-line spots? All right. Knock yourself out.
Don't know what our special teams are going to be like this year. Got to see what we've got.
Taking a look at some of the players on the good teams that are going to get cut. They're going to be playing for us this year. Although I root for one of those teams, it's probably going to take about 7 guys who get cut in final cuts. I mean, Bears fans, Giants fans, there's a few of us fan bases that maybe shouldn't mock August football. Got about 15% of the roster that's going to be made up of guys that get cut. Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. You know what's starting to honk me off?
Uh-oh.
I got to be honest.
Uh-oh.
I've just got to get this off my chest. How earlier? We're pretty early into the show. These NBA games that are not close at the end are starting to honk me off.
I'm with you.
Because you're starting them at about 9:15. And so I got 2+ hours invested in it, and you tease me. See, you tease me after 2 hours that we're going to have a close game. And then 15, 20 minutes later, it's after 11:30, and it's approaching midnight, and now it's pretty obvious it's not a close game anymore. And it's like, really? You do know I got to get up in less than 5 hours. Okay, you're supposed to deliver for me. The hockey has at least delivered for me. These games are close late. They're tied. They're 1-goal games. Occasionally, some of them go into overtime. I'm okay with that. You know why? I don't know who's going to win. Mid-fourth quarter, seemingly, at least in 3 of the 5 games in this series, mid-fourth quarter, the sucker was over.
It was. But it wasn't the start of the fourth again as Boston makes a nice comeback. They get a lead. Sure. Well, they finally played a good third quarter.
Yeah, they did put the ball in the basket. Imagine that. It's a hell of a concept. It's called offense.
Well, then they didn't use that for the first 7 minutes or first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
No, you know what they were? They were offensive. Right.
See what you did there.
I did.
Look at you. You're like a thesaurus over there.
I'm annoyed. When more games in the finals, you'd be better off just going to bed. And, I got a friend of mine who's, 10 o'clock's his witching hour. I mean, which is good because my wife's witching hour is 8:30. So, I tell him, you stay up late in my world,
to
right?
What I'm used to.
Exactly. But I mean, so he's asleep. He tries to in these finals stay up till halftime. Could have gotten better at halftime.
It's not even worth it, though. If you stay up till halftime, you don't know what's going on.
Really? Really? I mean, Golden State was up, 12? They won by 10. I'm starting to get annoyed. I feel like they're a tease. Yeah, I feel like I'm chasing Patty Sisolak and Sharon McCann. That's what I feel like these finals are. Just a tease. Noreen Ziegler. That's what the NBA finals is to me. They're Noreen Ziegler.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot of pain.
It is. It is. Unbelievable. I mean, at times they look great. Very elusive. Very elusive. Unbelievable. Miller and Moulton.
I don't know what to tell you. The only thing I can say to you, David, is that shame on you a little bit for expecting more of these basketball playoffs. And this is what has been going on now for a month and a half.
I understand that, but it's the final week. This is it. Monday, Thursday, maybe Sunday. This is it. Come on, guys. Give me a little something here. The other playoffs, 6 weeks of drama. 6 weeks of it.
I'm really hoping it ends Thursday so I don't have to agonize over another late night to watch bad basketball.
I'm totally with you. What, Father's Day after doing the U.S. Open? What, you want me to stay up and watch these finals? It's Game 7. How can I not watch? Can't consider yourself a sportscaster and not watch Game 7 of an NBA Finals. And we're going to get a Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
We are.
Oh, man.
And someone will win by 10 and it won't be close.
No, because that's basically the 2022 Finals.
Felipe, you are a diehard NBA fan. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this final thus far?
Probably a 6. I mean, if you're the Celtics, how do you blow the game that Steph Curry does not make a single three? If I would have told you.
Because they spent the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter laying bricks. I think they had 4 points to start the fourth quarter in the first 5 minutes.
I mean, man.
And that's pretty much where they lost the game.
You know what? Hats off to Andrew Wiggins, though.
That's great. That's certainly what I'm staying up for.
Exactly.
Andrew Wiggins.
No one cares. No one cares.
That's what I'm staying up for.
Well, now, I understand that you didn't get what you wanted out of Steph, but Clay played all right. And we revere guys in the other sports when we have an unsung hero.
I know. I'm in a bad mood, okay? I'm sleep deprived. All 5 games in the finals are decided by 10 or more points. All right? Don't try to placate me, all right? It's not going to work this morning. I'm in a funk. I'm that guy who midway through the show is going to need either a nap or a Snickers. One or the other. That's who I am right now.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Good to know that you're in a funk. It's Fred Funk's birthday.
Really?
It is.
Is he joining the LIV tour? Hello!
Hey, now.
And DC. Last night's game was good going to the fourth quarter. No, you know what it was? It was just a tease. That's all. It was just a tease. Because, Celtics played one good quarter. That's fantastic. Just enough to keep me up that extra half hour. It's a key half hour,
I think they won their first third quarter of the series.
Yeah, I know.
That was the whole thing. To me, it's that here's a team that's played terribly in the third quarter. They have their best third quarter of this series. I'm like, all right, we've got a game. Maybe they're going to pull out a road win. And then they look like they did in the fourth quarter. They played their third quarter basketball in the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
And they scored 5 points in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. 5 points. 5 points. 5 points in 7 minutes.
They started off 0 for 12
He
from
just
3.
said it as many points as they scored there. How many points?
5 points in the first 7 minutes.
Now we've kind of got a Draymond stat. He has said that more than they scored points in the first 7 minutes.
5. 5.
When I'm being entertained by Draymond Green fouling out. Yes, that's what we're selling. I'll tell you what. Here's a poll question for you. What's the difference between Draymond Green and Ben Simmons? Right now, I don't know that there's much. Be brutally honest with you.
One plays?
Don't.
That's very true.
But you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Ben Simmons got run out of town for playing a brand of basketball that looks an awful lot like Draymond Green's brand of basketball the last 3 weeks. I mean, Draymond Green may be aging before our eyes. He's either in a funk and he's still got a few years left and he'll be fine, or it's over. And right now, it's damn near over, and they are carrying his podcast ass to the finish line.
Yeah, he looks like an eighth man right now.
Woo!
The best nickname I've seen so far is Dre Pod.
Yes, that was the line I saw last night. Well, he fouled out early so he can get a start on his podcast.
Dre Pod Green.
Well, that was openly talking. Do you have to sit him in the fourth quarter right now?
Well, and
he sat himself.
yeah, after they sat him in game 4. But it's 3-2. I mean, once again, on paper, it looks like a hell of a series.
It's talk radio right now,
right.
David.
It's a hell of a series. In reality, ugh.
Well, we are talking about the fact that it's not a hell of a series.
Man, oh man. Not only that, they give these guys now extra days off to produce a product like this.
Well, therein lies yet another problem. If you're going to ask for the third day off and not play Sunday night when the league and the networks definitely wanted you to play, and on Monday you give us that product, oh well.
A lot of teams sitting home right now watching this going, man, did we blow an opportunity? But Warriors a game away. They've been here before and not had a parade. And Boston's lost 2 in a row, I believe, for the first time in the playoffs. So we'll have a game 7. They're not going to lose 3 in a row.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree with David.
Yeah. We'll have a game 7. I understand, bad sign for Boston that Steph was, couldn't put the ball in the ocean last night, and they won. That's bad for Boston. I mean, you get Steph, who had gone like 230 regular season and postseason consecutive games with making at least 1 3, to go 0 for 9 from 3. Shoot 7 for 22 from the field. Not even scored 20 points. And they win comfortably?
There's no way Steph has back-to-back games like that.
But it doesn't mean that Boston doesn't score.
But you're forgetting that, once again, the Warriors have the greatest NBA player of all time in Game 6, Klay Thompson.
And he played well last night also. 21 points. We'll say Golden State's done it defensively. I believe in every game Boston's lost in this series, they haven't scored 100. That seems to be the line of demarcation right now for the Celtics. If they get to 100, they win.
And I believe they turned it over 18 times last night, did the Celtics.
And their stat this year, or at least in the postseason, when they've turned it over more than 15 times, they've only won once. Miller and Moulton. And that's it.
Come on, Funky.
Yeah.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
joke since they kicked that woman out of her office. Should we ask for it?
Should just take it.
Morning, Paul. How are you? Poll question. Want to ask people instead of waiting until tomorrow because the game will start at 8:00. Do you want to ask people today who do you like in the finals?
Sure.
What you guys know about Bill Sharman, Celtics legend?
About what we know.
Is he a top 75 player of all time?
Did you see this yesterday? In the Super Bowl era, number of playoff wins.
There's Detroit.
So looking back at it now, do you think the Heat would have given the Golden State a better series?
No,
No.
no.
Doesn't matter. We'll never know.
Wow, 90-cent wings. That's pretty cheap these days.
What? Where? Wicked Wings?
Where?
Wicked Wings on Monday.
Oh, yeah. Wicked Wings.
I think the Stanley Cup games are starting at 8.
It's better than the NBA.
You got anything bothering you since I had my rant?
No, just old guy with late games.
Andrew Wiggins was a better prospect than Jason Tatum. Let's not forget that. He's just as good, if not better than him in that series. In this series,
It's a little different, though. One guy's the third best player on his team, and he's matched up against, and the other guy's the best player.
right?
So he's defended a little differently. Pressure's a little different.
Yeah, but man, Tatum has shot the ball horribly. Horribly.
Yeah, well, because all he's doing is shooting threes.
It's all they're all doing. It's crazy. They've just completely thrown their game away. Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can text the show if you never have before. You've heard about the drill. Well, do the drill. Text FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000, and you're in. That's it. Mark will see the texts. He goes through them all. He loves the ones that are between like 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. Those are his favorite.
That's a good call.
Heads up to the spare room, sits down at the computer, says, I got a few minutes to kill here. Let's see who's listening to a podcast.
I did it a lot more when we broadcasted from my house because I don't have this text line at my ready, whereas the other one
was right there.
Was always there.
Right. I got you. But it's still there. It's just, you actually have to press 2 buttons and click something.
Right. And now sometimes I just get here in the morning and get to go through the nightly texts and see what people were up to, see when they got honked off, see when they went into their Fred Funk.
Yeah. And that was me last segment. Thank you for allowing me to go into my Fred Funk. I mean, it's harmless. It's short, but it's down the middle. I mean, that's everybody's Fred Funk. Consistent, though. Consistent. In the money. Makes a lot of cuts. I mean, it's a solid point. I mean, if you have your Fred Funk, I mean, it's a solid, point. It's very often not a great point, but it's solid. It's consistent. Makes the cut. Cashes checks. It's that kind of a point.
You'll have to hit it a little farther this week.
Sure.
But you got to hit it straighter this week.
This is a week to be straight, though.
There's no doubt.
This is a week to be straight. You'll make the cut playing a Fred Funk game this week. You won't win, but you'll make the cut. U.S. Open this week. Ron Sirak will join us in a little more than an hour. We'll talk a little golf. Not that there's any golf in the news these days, but we'll talk about it. Hey, I saw a fun fact. But before I do that, is there anything, since you allowed me to, have a Fred Funk and get it off my chest, is there anything you want to get off yours?
I hate to say this. I'm in a really good place right now. No, I'm good.
Okay, good. Well, then I don't want to bring you down. All right. Just, you had allowed me a little 10, 12-minute out-of-body experience, and I'll just let it go. I will.
Hey, David, on this show, stay funky.
I saw a little fun factoid on Twitter yesterday.
Okay.
And once again, this gets back to, as we got something in our Twitch chat room there that said, hey, hopefully Golden State will win this in 6 so we can start talking about football. What do you mean start talking about football?
When do we not talk about
We have
football?
2 football guests on the show today, Pat Kirwan and Dave Hyde. Apparently the Dolphins had this grand scheme that was all, happening. Brian Flores blew up the greatest offseason in the history of the NFL, apparently. Talked to Dave Hyde of the Sun Sentinel about that in a couple hours. But the magic numbers, if you missed it, 79 and 86. I mean, 11 and 12 weeks, basically, from Thursday. College and pro football seasons begin. If you're counting that week 0 thing, it's 74 days, 10 and a half weeks. Bada bing, bada boom. So, Super Bowl era. What team has won the most playoff games since we started playing Super Bowls? So obviously, 55, 56 years. What franchise has the most playoff wins?
I'd take Pittsburgh all day long.
Well, they're tied for first. That's a good guess.
I mean, they've never had a losing season. They've played in a ton of Super Bowls, so I thought that was a pretty easy guess.
Well, I mean, they haven't had a losing season under Tomlin. I mean, Cowher had a couple.
But they've had what?
Noel had,
5. I mean, they've had 5 in 50 years.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
So it's a pretty safe bet to.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. They're tied for first. All right. Who are they tied with? By the way, there's 4 franchises that are all within 2 wins of one another.
Patriots?
Yeah. Well done. Well done. Steelers and Patriots. And remember, when the Super Bowl era began, first off, the Patriots were in the AFL, and the Steelers were awful. I mean, hideous. So, but Steelers and Patriots had both won 36 playoff games in the Super Bowl era. There's a team that's 1 playoff win behind them.
I would think it would be I've got two teams.
Well, and then there's another team that's one win. So you got the
It's
Steelers.
Green Bay and San Francisco in my head, and I just don't know what the order is.
Well, the Steelers and Patriots both have 36 playoff wins.
I'm going to go Niners.
The Niners are fourth with 34.
Packers.
Fifth with 29. And remember, Green Bay obviously early, although you didn't have to win a lot of games.
Right.
I mean, you know, you
That's why
won no
Dallas, more. That's why I kind of threw Dallas out because they're.
See there, but there you go. I mean,
all
come
right.
on, all those years with Landry. I mean, they go make the playoffs. So they're very rarely where they won and done. You know, then Jimmy and they won. You know,
thought they were going to be fifth. I thought it was going to.
They're third. They're one back. And when you think about it, they have not won a lot of playoff games in the last,
right?
25 years. Right. I think they've won like 2, maybe 3. So there you have it. 36 each for the Steelers and Patriots, 35 for the Cowboys, 34 for the Niners. Green Bay a solid 5th at 29. They're 5 behind Frisco at 4th. And they're 4 ahead of this franchise at 6. And they're another one. Hasn't won a lot of playoff games in the 21st century.
And that means you're talking about the Miami Dolphins?
No. There are a lot of teams that have not won many playoff games in the last 20 years. They did win some very early this century. Very early.
Oh, boy.
The Raiders 6th with 25. So, and if you think about, I mean, Steelers, Patriots, Cowboys, Niners, Packers, Raiders, you know, I mean, you go all the way back to the, you know, Green Bay early and late. You know, there was a 15-year, 20-year desert for the Packers. I mean, the 70s and 80s where they won like 1 playoff game total in those 2 decades. But obviously, in the last 30 years, they had a nice run. And, you know, the first few there.
First few were
that
pretty
Lombardi
well.
Guy, right? So, you know, the Niners, obviously, they had the long run of the 80s and 90s, and now they've had a rebirth here in the last 10 years. So, okay. You know, the Raiders, though, it shows you just how, because I mean, the Raiders haven't won a playoff game since they played the Bucs in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, 2002, they beat the Titans, I believe, to go in the AFC Championship game before they lost to Tampa in the Super Bowl. I don't know if the Raiders, have they won a playoff game since?
They don't think so.
They lost to Cincy last year. The few years before that, when Carr got hurt right before the playoffs, they had to throw like a third stringer in there. They got demolished in a playoff game. And I think before that, they hadn't gone to the playoffs in 15 years. So, you know, you got to go back. I think they've gone 19 years without winning a playoff game. And only 2 playoff appearances in that time, I think. I mean, if we're wrong, somebody's going to point it out. But, so, you know, that's your top 6, if you will. Broncos and Rams tied for 7th.
Another teams that have had different runs of success in different eras.
The Minnesota Vikings are the franchise with the most playoff wins that has not won a Super Bowl.
Oh, so they have more than Buffalo.
Yeah, they have
quite a few more.
They have 6 more playoff wins than the Bills. Yeah. 21 playoff wins for the Vikings, tied for 9th overall. But obviously still looking for the final game of the year. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ties it in the 8th, and they lose it in the 9th.
Where are you going to go?
Hey, imagine that, Mark. The stolen base
Leads to a
the
base
game-winning
hit.
hit.
Because he's not scoring well. Might have scored from first.
Well, but he doesn't.
I know.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Did you watch the home stretch of the Canadian Open or no?
I saw the last hole. I literally had college baseball on.
Okay. Did you see? So Rory tees off on 18 and they go to commercial.
Yeah.
And they give you the double box and they show you the other two tee shots. Okay. With no audio and kind of in a squeezer. And then, all right, they go and they play out the break and then they come back and they give us 2 minutes of them walking in the fairway. And I'm like, you couldn't show their tee shots and then?
I think they wanted to hear the crowd for Rory.
Not only
They've
that,
got 27 at this place, and they've changed it from when Strange played there. Like they used the other 9. They kind of look at this shot.
Yeah. He had a funny answer though. They asked him about it. He goes, "Well, Amy likes it. So guys, it's staying. When she tells me she doesn't like it, it's gone."
you reach out to the two guys from the tournament just to see if we could get Norman?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Did
yeah.
They say no chance.
I reached out to them, and I reached out through LIV. Oh yeah. I just asked for it. I mean, I asked for Greg, but I also asked for anybody.
Right.
They told me they ain't doing anything all week. Okay. Because I was just looking for like Jerry Foles, they're Faldo, they're Azinger. I asked Azinger, by the way, he hasn't over the weekend. He went early, okay, because he was there yesterday. So he flew up Sunday at the latest, but he hasn't gotten back to me.
30 seconds. Been running up that road, been running up that hill.
Okay, Kate Bush. For whatever reason, that song's been on Spectrum twice in the last week. I've heard that song.
I'm going to tell you why. Stranger Things.
Oh, it's in that terrible song.
It saves a girl from dying.
It's a terrible song.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Ron Sirak in an hour. Pat Kirwan in about an hour and 20 minutes. Dave Hyde of the South Florida Sun Sentinel 2 hours from now. We'll have a poll question at the top of the hour, although I think we already know what it's going to be. Before we get to the starting five, just to kind of finish the little, tidbit, trivial thing I brought up last segment. Just went through the top 6 franchises in terms of number of playoff wins since we started playing Super Bowls.
Right.
Steelers and Patriots tied for first. Cowboys 1 back. Niners 2 back. Green Bay a solid 5th. 5 behind the Niners, 4 ahead of the Raiders, who are 6th. So there's your Super 6, if you will. Can we go to the Vikings, far and away, by the way, the franchise with the most playoff wins without winning the Super Bowl. They have 21. The Bills have 15. All right. The bottom of it. Obviously, Detroit is the fewest. They've won the one playoff game since Bobby
Congratulations,
Leonard.
Detroit.
Right.
You're at the bottom of the list, even though there are several expansion franchises that are well ahead of you.
Look at you channeling your little minor league baseball announcer. You know
What's going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 72 hours, Mark Miller has been able to dive into
Brockmeyer.
And how many of us, when we first stumbled upon Brockmeyer, all of a sudden just started walking through our days sounding like...
Can't help it. You do the English accent, I can just walk through at any point and go into the minor league announcer. Because you've got to have just a touch of the Southern twang when you do it.
A little behind the curtain. Once or twice a show, we will both get up at the same time and we will go and get water. Right. And whenever one of us has something on our mind, we will do that voice or those movie lines or whatever it is while the other is following them and walking to the water and, just shaking your head. I can see today I'm going to get Brockmeyer walking to...
Probably. There's a better than 50-50 chance.
All right. Feel free at any point in time, if I say something, to just break it and do a little Brockmeyer. All right. Because I love it. I absolutely love it. The hell with the audience, what they like or want right now. All right. We're just appeasing me. Okay. Lions, obviously, they're
Lions
the
are at the
worst,
bottom.
right? With one playoff win in the Super Bowl era. Texans are 31st. They have 4 playoff wins. The Cardinals franchise, because I don't believe they won a playoff game in the Super Bowl era while in St. Louis? I don't believe so. I mean, the terrific Cardinals teams of Coryell in the 70s, they made the playoffs twice when only 4 teams made the playoffs. And I think they played the Cowboys once and the Vikings once, and they lost. And I'm trying to think, maybe like an 82 strike season. Maybe they won a game, maybe. But the Cardinals have won 6 playoff games.
And they've played in the last game, obviously losing it. So they've had at least one 3-game run.
And they also made an NFC championship game in 2015. So if you think about it, they've made 2 conference championship games, and they haven't done much else. Jacksonville and Cleveland tied with 7 total playoff wins. And then the Bengals with 8. So think about that. That number was 5 before last season. They were 3rd fewest playoff wins in the Super Bowl era, having played in 2 Super Bowls, mind you, before last season. And that's now 8 playoff wins, having played in 3 Super Bowls. I mean, if you think about it, I'm pretty sure 7 of their 8 playoff wins were the 3 years they went to the Super Bowls.
If they could win the final game, they'd be the Marlins of the National Football League.
They really would. So that's your, we went through the top 6. Pittsburgh, New England, Dallas, San Francisco, Green Bay, and the Raiders. Well, the bottom 6, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Jacksonville, the Cardinals, Texans, and Lions. So just for some perspective. Vikings, once again, far and away, the most playoff wins as a franchise without winning a Super Bowl at 21, which is tied for 9th most in the Super Bowl era. And that's 6 ahead of Buffalo. So there you have it.
Who's the team, who's the Super Bowl winner with the least amount of playoff wins?
Ooh, look at you. Look at you. Super Bowl winner with the least amount of playoff wins. I think it may surprise people. It is the Chicago Bears. The Bears in the Super Bowl era have just 10 playoff wins. And they've gone to 2 Super Bowls. I mean, 5 of their 10 playoff wins are in those 2 seasons. They've had far less success than I think people would guess.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, they have a lot of one and dones.
Right.
They've had a lot of really good teams that actually have lost their first playoff game. I mean, they had the 12-4 team of like 3-4 years ago that, hit the upright on the field goal against the Eagles. And that was it. I mean, Nagy, he didn't win a playoff game. Lovey, Lovey got fired after going 10-6 and missing the playoffs.
There's a lot of that in Chicago.
A
lot of 8-8s missing the playoffs. That's
Right.
why I don't look at them as a great franchise. I think their fan base does, but you're right. They're a highly overrated franchise.
I believe, could be wrong, I believe after the great historic 85 team, I think Ditka's Bears only won 2 additional playoff games. Because the next year they went 14-2, had a bye, and got beat in the divisional round by Washington. So they didn't win a playoff game the next year. I don't know about 87. It was a strike year. I don't know. 88, they won 1 playoff game, the Fog Bowl against the Eagles, and then they lost the NFC title game. And I don't know that they won a playoff game in 90 and lost to the Giants in the second round. But I mean, good teams though. I mean, won 11, 12, 14 games a year. Yet, 1, 2, maybe 3 playoff games after the great 85 team. You think they had more success but 10 total playoff wins, the Bears, in the Super Bowl era. I mean, think about that. That's damn near once every 5-6 years you win a playoff game.
Right.
For the
Right.
Bears?
For the Bears.
Right. All right. Very quickly. Time for
The starting 5 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Golden State was up 11 after the first quarter, 12 at the half. Celtics had a great third quarter, cut it to 1. And then Warriors scored the first 10 points of the fourth quarter, and game was never any closer than that till the very end. Garbage time, 104-94, Golden State. They lead the series 3-2. Andrew Wiggins was the player of the game, 26 points, 13 rebounds. Clay had 21 points. Steph couldn't put the ball in the ocean last night, 0 for 9 from 3. Golden State's benchmark outscored the Celtics bench 31-10. I will say, if you add big three versus big three, Wiggins, Clay, and Steph versus Tatum, Brown, and Smart, Celtics actually outscored them 65-63. But Game 6 Thursday in Boston, Celtics have lost 2 in a row in the playoffs for the first time.
Take Boston in Game 6.
No doubt. No doubt. Listen, we picked Lightning in 6. We were right. And we picked Warriors in 7. So
You were wavering on me, though.
no, hard. You would have had to reach down, moving vehicle, grab me back, close the door, say, trust me, stay here. Oh, no, I was ready to
going
jump.
Steiner, follow me.
Yeah, I was ready to jump, roll off the side of the road into the dirt. Absolutely. Some NFL news. Lamar showed up at mandatory minicamp for the Ravens. Terry McLaurin, by the way, did not do the same for the Commanders. He wants a new deal. He's averaging over 1,000 yards a year in his career, and he's woefully underpaid.
With the quarterback play in Washington, too.
Right. So Game 1, Stanley Cup Finals tomorrow night in Colorado. The Avs are pretty solid favorites. I mean, how do you not bet the Lightning, who the Avs are minus 160 in Game 1? They will have not played in 9 days.
Yeah, I might take Tampa in the series, and I might jump Tampa in Game 1.
Yeah. By the way, I like Lightning in 6. Better defensively, staggeringly better in goal. I know Colorado's a favorite. I think it'd be an upset if they won. Usually this matchup, you don't win. How many times has the team that's inferior defensively and inferior in goal won the cup? You can think about it. In the last 50 years. I don't know if you can come up with 2 examples. I think this is going to be Islanders-Oilers in 83. I think Colorado now has broken through. They're going to be there damn near every year for the next 5 years, but I think Tampa's going to teach them just
how to win.
Yep, like the Islanders did the Oilers in 83. Major League Baseball, Braves have won 12 in a row. They're 5 back of the Mets. They beat Washington 9-5. However, they lost second baseman Ozzie Albies. He fractured his left foot. It's a bummer. You figure he'll be gone till probably mid-August. Philly scored 1 in the 8th, 1 in the 9th, beat the Marlins 3-2. Imagine that. Marlins lost a 1-run game. Mattingly's got his ace on the mound, and he gets a double play. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th and a 2-1 lead. Runner on third. He brings in a lefty to face the lefty. Gives up an RBI double. Game's tied. They lose it in the 9th. Alcantara throws a tantrum on the bench when he was taken out of the game. Took his ace out, 113 pitches. White Sox with a much-needed win over the Tigers, 9-5. Cardinals have a 1-game lead in the Central after beating the Pirates 7-5. Texas beat Houston, trying to make a race of it in the West. They're 7.5 back.
Trying to try it. I mean,
somebody's got to in that division, right? Seattle and the Angels certainly ain't doing it. Padres beat the Cubs 4-1. They're tied with the Dodgers for first in the West. Give it up to the Giants. They've won 4 in a row. They beat the Royals 6-2. They've got the worst record in baseball, does Kansas City. Congratulations. Reds over Arizona 5-4.
Where are you going to go? You know where you're going to go? To a Reds game. They've been winning, David.
They are above 500 after they went 1-20 in a 3-week span. Minnesota edged Seattle 3-2. Buxton with another big hit. Toronto played their first game this year against the Orioles last night. Everyone keep this in mind. The Yankees are probably going to win the East. The Blue Jays have a 4-game series, I believe, this week with the Orioles, Mark, and then they won't play Baltimore again till August. They will play Baltimore 15 times in August and September. If Toronto can be within about 5 of the Yankees heading to August, they got 15 of their final, 55 against Baltimore. 11-1 last night. And that's pretty. Steven Strasburg back on the IL. And not a good. He's got 4 years left at $140 million on his deal. He's 33 and he may be done. Stanford and Auburn grabbed the final 2 spots in the Baseball College World Series.
But with Auburn, that's another big upset. Oregon State, they take out. That's another one of that. I think that's the number 2 seed, right?
Stanford was 2, Oregon State 3.
Okay.
4 of the final 8 are SEC, but 2 of the other 4 are Oklahoma and Texas. So it's basically Stanford and Notre Dame against the SEC, so to speak. Golf, Phil met with the media for 25 minutes. He didn't say much. And apparently there's quite some tension in the locker rooms and on the tee boxes between LIV golfers and PGA Tour golfers, especially with the big boys, JT, Spieth, and what have you. There's a thaw. Ron Sirak in less than an hour to talk about it, and that was the starting 5.
I'm going to bend your wedge. Golfers fighting.
Well, not fighting, just a thaw. That's all. Just, divorce court. That's all, that kind of tension. No kids involved, though.
All right. Seriously, David, how badly would you like to see an LIV Tour member win the U.S. Open this year?
I'd max out a credit card. Absolutely. Would love for Dustin Johnson to win the U.S. or DeChambeau. Actually, DeChambeau. I'd give $5,000 for DeChambeau to win.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right.
So Vikings at 21. Then you have to go all the way down to the Bears at Bears and Titans, each with 15, Mark. In terms of teams that have not won the Super Bowl, that have the most playoff wins. So Vikings at 21, Bills, excuse me. Vikings at 21, Bills and Titans at 15. Chargers 11. Here's what's interesting. Bucks have 11 playoff wins. 5 under Brady. So pre-Tom Brady, 6 total playoff wins.
Right, so they would have been the winner of the Super Bowl question with least amount of wins. It was the Bears.
Yeah, pre-Brady.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Their number was 6. Yes.
Today's National Bourbon Day?
Yeah, I know that KW, that Tobin's defensive numbers in 86 were actually better than the 85 Bears defensive numbers, but they weren't as intimidating. They gave up less points. They didn't produce as many turnovers, but they gave up less points. They also jumped out to a 14-0 lead in that playoff game against Washington that year in 86 at home and lost. Well, it's Jimmy, it's Lions. The Lions have 1 playoff win. Lions with 1, Texans with 4, Cardinals 6, Jags and Browns 7, Bengals 8.
All right, I got the next segment done.
Okay, great. Good job by you. We got a poll question?
Yeah, I've got 2 up already.
Jeez, 2? Wow.
One from the Florida Sports Network, and then I put one up.
Okay.
Does anyone want breakfast?
Uh-oh. It's been a while since you've done this.
I know.
Nope, I'm fasting.
Ah. Ramadan Mark. No, I'm just kidding. Five seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. 86 days away from kickoff of the NFL season, 79 days away from kickoff of the college season, unless Nebraska Northwestern in Dublin, that final Saturday in August counts, and then the magic number is 74.
That's what I'm going with.
10 and a half weeks then. That's all you have to fill.
I'll watch.
Get a few more days out of the NBA, anywhere from 3 to 6 here, and then beginning tomorrow, you got 10 to 14 days of hockey, depending on how the series goes. Pretty much get you through the month.
I mean, get us right to the 4th of July, basically. 4th of July weekend.
Get through the holiday, and then you come back, bada bing, bada boom. Never mind, Mark, talk about a new tradition that I think is going to take over the country by storm. USFL semifinals, July 4th weekend. Whoo-wee.
Wow.
That's what the nation is clamoring
They
for.
take over for the hot dog eating contest.
Playoff football from Canton. That's right. They're doing the whole regular season in Birmingham. They're moving the playoffs to Canton. Apparently the World Games are coming to Birmingham. So they basically said, yeah, we need the stadium. We need the hotel rooms. You got to get out. So that's why they're, through June, they're in Birmingham, but July, you got to get that out of town. So, thanks for contributing to the economy and all. 4 months worth of hotel rooms and restaurants and all that. We really appreciate it. We wish you all the best. See you next year.
Hey, I can't knock the Birmingham experiment because it saves money and these leagues spend it like they have it. And I have been ultra critical of the leagues for doing that. So I certainly am not going to pile on here. It's just kind of interesting that they didn't get the city for the whole season.
Oh, the World Games, man. I mean, they threw this
World
together.
Games of what?
Just of the world. Come on now.
What games are they playing?
I don't know. Foosball.
What is this, George Costanza? It's the world, the human fund.
I could break into a Brockmire here, but it's not as good as yours, so I'm not going to do it. All right. You told me you had something during the break. What do you got?
Well, I did. I said for the next segment. I said not for this segment, for the next one. We do have our poll question up, though. We have 2 poll questions up.
What do you mean we have 2 poll questions up? We haven't even talked. You're just taking over here, these poll questions.
Well,
what do you got?
The first one was yours. You said you want to get this Colorado Tampa Bay thing out of the way.
Yeah, because I don't want to do it tomorrow, because then people only have about 12 hours to vote before game 1 gets underway. So I want to give it a full 24 hours here. Who do you think's going to win?
Who wins the Stanley Cup?
Right. Colorado or Tampa Bay?
Right now, Tampa Bay, obviously getting quite a few more votes in this part of the world. They're getting 78% of the vote.
Huh.
But I found out that today is National Bourbon Day, David.
Okay.
And so I threw up another poll question, just personally, of how do you like your bourbon? Neat, rocks, or with the mixer?
Lay that on me again.
How do you like your bourbon? Neat, rocks, or with the mixer?
Okay.
That's all. And what? The reason I wanted a short segment is because, David, today is National Bourbon Day, and whiskey must be 51% corn. And this particular whiskey derives its name from the Kentucky county of the same name.
Feel free to a little more twang.
I know.
Still a little
I know. I'm reading. I'm losing the twang. Early settlers established in the county in 1785.
Here we go.
Back then, once they distilled the corn, they put it in barrel-stamped old bourbon and shipped them down the Ohio River.
Uh-huh.
Ohio.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, he stumbled upon Brockmire in the last few days. You're just going to have to live with it. I go English accent. He's going to go Brockmire. It's part of our charm. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Miss any part of the show? Download our podcast, floridasportsnetwork.com. Felipe does a great job getting the stuff up there quickly. Does a great job. We're not kidding about that. He's ordering breakfast already.
Oh, I know.
And he's on a Tuesday. He's that week on a Tuesday. I think it was the late NBA Finals.
And the fact that I think Philly, I think you're taking it personally that these NBA playoffs have not been.
I really am. I mean, I've been hyping up the playoffs the whole year.
Yes, you have.
Oh, the NFL's cool, but get ready for the playoffs. Oh, when that time of the year comes, it's you're gonna see me at my best. Where do I even start?
He's a broken young man right there.
He is.
Really
because
is.
two guys have told him that the hockey playoffs are better than the basketball playoffs, and he did. The last thing he wants is for the two of us to ever be right.
Exactly.
But particularly when it comes to a mano type of argument.
Right.
And it's not close. And you've watched it happen before your very eyes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you were all around the putting green on Saturday during the golf tournament, and out of nowhere, all right, someone brings up the NBA, and Felipe goes into a Jimmy Butler Miami Heat discussion, and there were, a foursome there, and they turned and they looked at us like, well, now we see the crap you guys got to deal with, and they got in their carts, and Felipe's still talking, and they drove away.
I'm talking to them as they're driving away.
Yes, and Miller and Moulton were laughing, going, yeah, well, that's kind of how the segments and or commercial breaks go. Yep.
But Golden State up 3-2 after the win last night.
Whatever.
David is in a funk because, well, after Boston fights back, gets the lead, loses the lead in the third quarter.
Yeah, they're down 12 at the break. They come out. They have a terrific third quarter, and Golden State hits a 30-something footer at the buzzer to take a 1-point lead to the fourth, and you're going, okay, all right. We're going to have we're going to have a finish here.
And Boston proceeded to score, 5 points in the next 7 minutes?
Yes, 5 points in 7 minutes. Seriously? You're an NBA team. You're a finals team. What the heck? I mean, the 90s Knicks are looking at you going, dude, offensively, come on, get it together. Here's a novel concept. If you throw it inside, A, it's a higher percentage shot, and B, wait for it, you might get fouled.
Well, that's in the third quarter. That's what they did. They were driving and kicking, and then they were getting open threes and getting looks as opposed to standing, dribbling, and popping open threes without any ball movement.
So, anyway, Warriors scored after hitting the three to end the third. They scored the first 10 points of fourth quarter, and then basically that was it. Good, go to bed. Well, it's 11:30 at that point. I mean, come on now. I'm already getting less than 5 hours sleep. So now I'm like, well, I'll wait for Boston's run, which never happened. And so, yeah, I'm angry at the Celtics this morning. I am. I don't care who wins. Don't care at all. All right, but, I'm rooting for the game. Come on now. I'm investing 3 hours of my time into this product.
Did you know that Jason Tatum has the most turnovers in a playoff run in NBA history right now?
And he may win finals MVP if they can win the next 2 games.
Jaylen Brown.
Whatever. Who cares
Who cares?
This point?
Yeah, who cares?
Honestly.
It'll be Steph.
They should just leave it blank. All right. Who's the trophy? Is it Russell? Bill Russell? Is that the finals MVP trophy?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Bill Russell should literally show up and go, none of you are worthy of this trophy.
Now, wait a minute.
None of you.
If Golden State wins, Steph is certainly worthy.
Well, yeah. I mean, not good last night, though. But, yeah, he'll win it.
No, he wasn't.
He's
had one bad game in these finals so far. Their team happened to win it. The other 4 games he's played particularly well.
I was thinking about the Celtics. I had the Celtics on my mind, that Bill Russell, legendary Celtics, should look at them and go, congratulations on the win, guys. I'm taking this home with me. None of you deserve this. In fact, I'll call up Larry and we'll decide which one of us is going to keep this at our house.
Matter of fact, I just decided it's me.
Tell you what, I'm going to give it to Paul Pierce. He owes people money. He's not paying his debts. Here's the trophy. He can sell it off, pay off some of his debts. None of you are worthy of this. I'm going to give this to Paul Pierce.
Either that or you all have to go play poker with Paul Pierce, and I'm guessing none of you play a whole lot of poker. We got to get this guy some money.
That's how he got in this situation, Mark.
I
know. I know. So that's why we want to encourage him to pay off his debts before he starts accumulating new ones.
Well, I was trying to get him in an easy game.
Well, problem is, he smokes a lot of the ganja. I don't think that helps you when you're playing poker. I mean, I don't
Doesn't
know.
hurt as bad as you think.
I don't know. I don't smoke the stuff. Never have.
I mean, I've won a few tournaments at the dog
Have
track.
you?
Yeah.
Okay. Smoking the ganja?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. You were in the room and you some of the fumes.
Just secondhand, David. Just secondhand.
Opportunity. How about Brockmeyer stoned? Work on that tonight after the show today. Go home, work on Brockmeyer stoned. I'll do the sound effect.
Hello, everybody.
I'll do the sound effect of like the bat and the ball, and you can respond to it about 8 seconds later. This could be a bit.
Brought to you by White Castle.
I've had a sack before the game, and I'm looking forward to one during the 7th inning stretch. White Castle, when you're high as a kite.
The only time you can eat it.
Paul Pierce will join us for the 8th. Oh, boy. Miller and Moulton. Make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com, vote in our poll question. Who's going to win the finals? Lightning or the Avs? Avs are solid favorites. And I love the Lightning. Absolutely love them. Don't know how the better defensive team and team with superior goaltending doesn't win.
And possibly the healthier team right now. Braden Point, full participant in practice yesterday.
Meanwhile, Nazem Kadri, he's got that broken thumb. He's going to try to play through it at some point, but how effective is he going to be? And he's the number 2 center, and
he's the face-off guy.
And he's the guy also that they were likely going to put out as the defensive center against the Stamkos, Kucherov line.
I'll say gentleman's sweep for the Lightning.
Really?
Yes.
That's bold. Although that's what the Islanders did to the Oilers all those many years ago.
Yeah, I definitely like Lightning. I like the Lightning, and I'll probably go with you, the Lightning in 6. They'll get it done at home. Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't know if we want to go here now, leading into Sirak, but saw a tweet yesterday from a Corn Ferry player.
Yeah.
Where is it? Here we go. Mark Angueno. I busted my ass this week. Felt like I played well. Finished T37 on the Corn Ferry Tour. Made $3,895. Good enough to barely break even. Pretty humbling amount of money when you see the purses on the LIV. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC, right now, the LIV is insisting they're going to remain at 48. If I was them, I would not go more than 54. First off, the whole numerology thing, but also I'm thinking if you're going to do the shotgun start, don't you do 18 threesomes?
Yes.
You know, you're not doing a Miller and Moulton charity golf tournament here. You're lining them up on tees. So I wouldn't do more than 54 ever. The other thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my field as strong as humanly possible. I got to start earning world golf ranking points quickly. You know, these guys are going to want to be able to stay qualified for major championships. Otherwise, you know, I mean, the guys in their 40s do not want to have to play open qualifiers to get into the U.S. and British Opens.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, DC, they definitely push other guys out. Hey, Augusta, it's an invitational. You know, after those who are former champions and top 50 in the world, everyone else, and then you've won in the last, 2 years on the PGA Tour? I think it is. You have to be former Masters champion, top 50 world golf rankings, having won on the PGA Tour in the last 2 years. I think that's what gets you into Augusta. Everything else, they have to invite you.
Ready? Food, $7.48. You know how much the total is? $18.98.
It's your own fault.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not. No, I'm not doing this. Hell no.
You should bring in stuff. Bring in bars. Bring in whatever.
Just drink coffee like a man until you can't drink anymore.
I mean, I ran out of coffee capsules. I'm sorry.
Make a pot of coffee.
In the break room?
Yeah.
Some chicken minis, though. Nah. Must resist. Resist. 5 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can watch and listen to the show on Twitch. We have our own channel. Not going to believe what it's called. It's the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton.
Really creative, this group.
Yep. I mean, first, how we named the show. I mean, just wild and crazy. Mark Miller, David Moulton, naming the show Miller and Moulton. And then when it came time to, have a Twitter handle, we went with that Mark Miller and the David Moulton. Once again, a lot of creativity, a lot of personality, a lot of style, a lot of flair. And then needed a channel on Twitch. What are we going to call it? I don't know. How about Miller and Moulton? Done. And if you're an Amazon Prime customer, and remember, Thursday Night Football in 3 months, you're going to need it. But if you're an Amazon Prime customer already, you get a free Twitch channel. And you can follow us. Just press the purple button at the bottom. You can subscribe even. That eliminates all the commercials. So check us out.
I am eerily close to cutting the cord.
Really? Going to do it leading into a football season, huh?
Got to figure out the live sports factor of it, because I don't watch television anymore. Outside of sports, everything is now streaming.
So you don't watch, there's not a single network television show that you watch, a
Not
sitcom
one.
or a drama.
Not one.
Okay.
And I don't even,
That could be a poll question, by the way.
it could, you talked about the other night after whatever game, surfing around to find a Law and Order.
Yes.
I don't even channel surf anymore when I'm on, I have DirecTV. I don't even bother. I find my game and I when it's over, I shut the television off.
Mark, sometimes you have to go deep. BBC America, Sundance. I mean, sometimes you have to go deep to find a 25-year-old Law and Order.
I got you, and I love it. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
But I've just found that the television is off far more now. I used to be one of those people. When I'd get home from the show, the first thing I would do is I'd turn the television on, throw it on ESPN, and just leave it there all day.
Right.
I find myself not turning the television on anymore.
I'm with you. I mean, if it's not Law and Order, Mark, I mean, either that or a rom-com, when I'm sitting there trying to, just give subliminal messages to my wife going, huh? Oh, what do you say? No? Nothing? All right. Back to Law and Order. That's it. That's the only thing the clicker goes to these days. Sports, little potential romance. Once that gets shot down by the evening news, then, boom, back to Law and Order.
Once that gets shot down by the evening news.
Right.
Just making sure everybody caught that.
Well, I mean, she's asleep by 8:30. So, I mean, decisions have to be made quickly, Mark.
Well, we've talked about it before. Network television is dead. Dead.
Don't tell the networks. But there's no doubt that what is sustaining network television is sports. In many ways, it is. Now,
Absolutely.
Now they have to provide, 150 plus hours of programming for affiliates. So it's not just sports, but in terms of getting viewers, in terms of getting a demographic also, there is no doubt that they are using sports as the lead. It's why these networks are spending the money they're spending on the National Football League. It can guarantee an audience. And then they use that audience to A, make as much money as possible, and B, promote the entire rest of the network.
It's going to have to be a sit-down discussion, though, with the family, because if we lose the Olympic channel.
Right. You might as well move.
And I've got to figure out how to keep the SEC network and the Big Ten network for the gymnastics championships.
Listen, we all have the 8 to 10 channels that we have to keep. I mean, whatever it is, it could be TLC. It could be, in your case, you've got to be able to keep the gymnastics. Right. We all have the same issues. It just, depending on what it is. Could it be cooking?
I'm going through anxiety right now just thinking of cutting the cord. And it has nothing to do with for me. It has to do with the first time the wife goes to find whatever show it is she wants.
Can't. Right. And then you're a complete and utter failure,
Exactly.
Right. It's when she calls her mom and says, Mom, you were right. Okay. Or calls her best friend. I mean, they really don't want to make that call to mom. All right. They'll call the best friend and admit that. Okay. Because if you call mom.
This hurts, David. This hurts.
Right. Well, trust me, it's happened. I mean, come on. Like, it hasn't happened with me. All right. Hell, I've overheard the conversations with the wife talking to the best friend going, I just, I don't know. I rushed into it. What do I do now? See, once you call mom, you pretty much got to call the lawyer after that. That's why you tell mom last.
Yes, because mom will give you the number to the attorney.
Oh, absolutely. Mom's
In fact,
going,
she has it on speed dial.
Right.
She's been waiting for this call for years.
And she will remind daughter of that going, well, I can't believe it took you this long. You want me to handle it, or do you want me to just give you the number? Miller and Moulton. Can I read a tweet to you? Ron Sirak's coming up in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little golf. Got the U.S. Open going on, and there seems to be some issues involving the PGA Tour in a competitive golf league. So we'll address it with Ron Sirak, Golf Channel, ronsirak.com, coming up in 10 minutes. I saw a tweet late yesterday afternoon from Mark, and I'm going to give it a shot, Anguiano, Anguiano, Mark Anguiano.
Okay. What Angie have to say?
Quote, I busted my ass this week. Felt like I played well and finished T37 on the Korn Ferry Tour. Made $3,895. Good enough to barely break even. Pretty humbling amount of money when you see the purses on the LIV Golf Tour.
It is.
And then he said, hashtag play better at a case of the golf one. And I don't know what that is. So now I have to admit, if most of us made about $4,000 in a week, we'd feel pretty good about life. But A, you got to pay an entry fee to get into these tournaments. Okay. And B, you got to take care of your travel costs, your lodging, and your caddies. And so that's why they're talking about, $3,900 in a week. Most of us would, get out of work. But A, also, you don't play golf 52 weeks. I mean, if you're unbelievably busy, you play about, 30? So you do the math accordingly, and he's basically saying, hey, it's tough out here in the minors, in the Korn Ferry Tour. It just is. And we have, in the last couple of years, Mark, had numerous stories about how tough it is in baseball's minor leagues, in which these guys have had, in some cases, it hasn't even been a living wage. They're making so little money. And
the Korn Ferry Tour, for those that don't know, is the AAA tour of the PGA Tour.
Right. So just your reaction to a golfer. Now, first off, if he raised his hand and said to Greg Norman, please put me on tour, the likelihood is that Greg Norman in the LIV series would say, sorry, dude, you're not good enough.
It is the Korn Ferry Tour. The guys at the top make good money. Most don't. You're basically breaking even to go try to make it to the next level.
Right.
And it is as hard of a road to get your tour card as there's ever been. I feel for the guy. But to your point, David, I don't think that Greg Norman's reaching out to Korn Ferry guys unless they're the top 3 or 4 guys to try to take them away from the tour. And now, does the tour smarten up and start raising the purses on this tour to not lose their 20 best to the LIV Tour? Because that would be my fear if I were the PGA Tour.
Miller and Moulton. Ron Sirak. Golf Channel, ronsirak.com. He will join us coming up. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour as we are 86 days away from kickoff of the NFL season. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening this Tuesday morning on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local, eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, gets the Olympic channel too on YouTube TV. All right.
Well done. John Cassio 12 minutes ago. West Coast hockey is not tough enough. They play that finesse game. East Coast hockey is physical. You got to be willing to take a few punches to bring that cup home. Patrick Waugh ain't walking through that door. You get me? Bolts in 5.
Ask him if that's a 2-pack biggie type of analogy.
PGA players can barely afford to buy Napa filters.
It's a great line.
Well done, Hops. Well done. Well, the caddies on that LIV tour love it. They are being treated better than they ever have before, and they're making more money than they ever have before, and costs are being taken care of, and they're being treated like the golfers. They can go to the same parties and outings. And
Was it Phil? Who was the PGA golfer that had like a huge controversy with caddy where he wasn't paying him anything or something like that?
Oh, it was Matt Kuchar.
Matt Kuchar had an issue with a caddy at the Mexican Open or something like that.
World Golf thing in Mexico City
a couple years ago.
Few years ago, because his caddy wasn't there, and he picked up a guy, and then
he
didn't
won it.
pay him full freight.
Right. They kind of agreed to a certain rate beforehand, but then Kuchar went out and won it, and he didn't give the guy anything. And usually, you give a caddy, a certain something when you win.
$30 seconds.
What a strange goal.
Yeah. Well, listen, they outplayed them. They deserved the bounces, but they did get the bounces in that series.
Yes.
He's on hold to come back.
But they deserved them.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. He is one of the best golf writers of all time, quite frankly. He's been honored by multiple tours and multiple publications for a lifetime of work writing and talking about golf. You can see him occasionally on the Golf Channel. You can read his every thought at Ron Sirak, SIRAK.com, ronsirak.com, and that's how you follow him on Twitter, Ron Sirak. Ron, it's David and Mark. Once again, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Hey, anything going on in the world of golf this week?
Ron, you covered the sport a long time. Have you ever seen the sport where it is right now, where the tour players are on opposite sides of where they're going to play, how they view this? I mean, we are on unprecedented times, Ron.
You know, I went to the U.S. Women's Open a week or so ago, and I drove down to Pinehurst, and I was driving back. I'm driving through the New York media market, and I have sports talk radio on there. The Yankees are playing great. The Mets are playing great. The Rangers were in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they were talking golf. You know, they almost never talk golf on New York sports talk radio, and they were talking golf, and it's because of the situation that we're in right now. For the first time ever, the PGA Tour has some serious competition out there, and how this plays out is going to be anybody's guess, and it's going to be fascinating to watch it unfold.
Well, Ron, you've written about it in the last few days, and in one of your more recent columns / articles, you said you feel this is a three-prong issue. Go.
Yeah, you know, I think there's three issues here. There's the moral issue about should you be accepting money from the Saudi government. There's the business issue, and then there's the competitive issue. And I think of those three, if it comes down to only a business issue, only money, the PGA Tour's already lost because the Saudis have an endless amount of money, and they don't care if they turn a profit. They don't care if they make it. They can lose billions of dollars on this venture. They don't care because it's all about PR for them. It's all about their image. There's no way to compete against that business model. I think the moral question, is going to be something that's going to be an individual choice, and that's a real tricky one. I think the competitive aspect of this is what it's going to come down to. Charles Schwartzel won the first LIV Golf event in London. He got and his team also won some team competition they have. So he got $4.75 million. But it did nothing to enhance his legacy as a golfer. And that's what it's going to come down to, is to which players are playing to compete against the best players in the world, to compete against the history of the game, to compete against Hogan and Nicklaus, or is it just about the money? And a big turning point in this is going to be what the official world golf ranking decides. Are they going to give world ranking points to the live golf events? Because if they don't, the guys playing those events are going to have a really hard time getting into the major championships.
All right, Ron, I have two prongs to this that are upcoming. I want to see whether or not you think there's any legs to this. One, I think if any players go from the U.S., it's going to happen after the U.S. Open. And I think the Scottish Open still means a lot to some of the Euro players. I think after the British, you'll see the next wave of players go. Do you think if they get two waves of players, how is the World Golf Rankings going to handle it when even more top 100 and top 50 guys jump to the Live Tour?
Yeah, basically right now, what the Live Tour has lines up, it's sort of the guys who are not old enough for the senior tour and not good enough to compete with the big boys on the regular tour. The danger for the PGA Tour going forward is when that 20-something group of really good players breaks. And right now, I've been very impressed with the leadership role that Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, and a couple of other of those top 10 player in the world, younger guys, are taking in their defense of the PGA Tour. Rory McIlroy and was very, very eloquent and very confrontational when he won the Canadian Open. He played great. I expect to see both of those guys, McIlroy and Thomas, play great at the U.S. Open just because of this whole issue. But that's the next domino to fall too. Is when the Live Golf starts going after the younger players, maybe some college stud, some really, really good player coming out of college and saying to him, "Hey, look, instead of trying to go through the Korn Ferry Tour and working your way to the big tour, come with us. You get a lot of guaranteed money in your pocket."
He's Ron Sirak. You see him on the Golf Channel. You can read all of his work at ronsirak, SIRAK.com, ronsirak.com. Ron, you're a big fan and you cover women's golf. We last week said, hey, at some point, Norman and this tour are going to have to live up to what they're saying, which is they are going to grow the game of golf. And we concluded, you want to make a statement, you want to change some of the PR narrative, invest heavily in women's golf. And I think all of us would agree that we wish the purses and the money they were playing for on the LPGA Tour was more money. And some of them have improved here recently, but we still wish they were playing for more money. What if Norman calls up the LPGA Tour and says, listen, we want to add $1 million to every tournament that you guys are playing? I mean, don't you think, A, they should do something like that, and B, what would the LPGA Tour do?
I don't think I think the LPGA would take on title sponsors if something like a Saudi company or something wanted to be a title sponsor for tour. They'd do that. I don't think that they would take funding of it. I mean, the whole issue of how women are treated.
Right. No.
In Saudi Arabia.
Right. It's appalling.
Would be a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be a real problem. And, again, this comes down to it's a PR venture in a lot of ways. It's a way to. I went to about 10 years ago. I went to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Bahrain to do a story about why the heck did they have golf tournaments there? Because golf brings in everything that Islamic fundamentalists don't like. It brings in alcohol, brings in gambling, it brings in women in Western clothing. And what I found out is those nations are all trying to diversify their economies. They don't want to have a totally oil-dependent economy. Oil's going to run out someday. So they're looking at banking, real estate, and tourism. And so they're bringing a lot of sport. You look in the Middle East now, there's Formula One auto racing, there's tennis, Qatar's going to have World Cup soccer, and there's golf. And this is all areas to expose the rest of the world to the Middle East as a tourist destination, as a second home destination. If you live in London, flying from London to Dubai is like going from New York to Los Angeles. You could have, if you're a rich person, a second home there. That's what they're looking for. That's the end game for them, the long game for them. That's why they're willing to lose money on this golf tour.
Okay, if that's the long game, Ron, then how long does this tour last? You know, we asked a poll question whether it goes 1 year, 2 to 3 years, or 4+. Both David and I thought 4+ for the reasons that you mentioned. You went far more into detail than we ever did. So do you think this tour is there 5 years from now?
Well, certainly they're going to be willing to lose money for a long time. I think whether they're there 5 years from now depends on those world ranking points. And it depends on if we get a major defection. If somebody like, a Jordan Spieth. I mean, Ricky Fowler's probably going to go, but Ricky Fowler's, like most of the guys playing the LIV Tour right now, his best days are in the rearview mirror. But if there's a crack in that Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, that group in there, if they get one of those, then they're in for the really long haul. It's going to be there. I don't know if I go 5 years. It's going to be there at least 3 years.
Ron, from what you understand about world golf ranking points, is the 54-hole event a problem for the LIV series? Because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to grab as many good golfers as they can and basically make the argument, hey, take a look at our field and the average ranking, and take a look at what used to be called the European Tour average ranking, and you tell me why it is we can't get the same world golf ranking points as you offer for the DP World Tour. But the difference is the European Tour has 72-hole events, and the LIV series is only offering 54-hole events. As you understand it, as presently constructed, is this tour going to get world golf ranking points?
The 50-hole thing is a problem. I mean, the world rankings, that they want the event to be 72 holes. They also like to have a minimum field of 72 players in the field, and the LIV events are 48 players in the field right now. Now, there have been this is the problem for the world golf rankings. They've given exceptions to those rules. Tiger's tournament, the Tiger Woods tournament, is 72 holes, but it's only about 22 players. But because he gets a bunch of really high-ranked players in there, they gave an exception to that. So, that opens the door a little bit. But according to the strict reading of the rules for the world golf rankings, you got to be 72 holes. You got to have at least 72 players in your field, and LIV Golf meets neither of those requirements.
All right, Ron, the U.S. Open this week. They're at the Country Club at Brookline. The rough looks to be, U.S. Open-esque. This is a throwback. We're going back to a course they haven't been to in a while that hasn't had a major or a Ryder Cup at it this century. Just a little bit about the golf course and how it sets up for a U.S. Open.
Yeah, first U.S. Open I did was at Brookline, 1988. Curtis Strange beat Nick Faldo in a playoff down there. It's a great old golf course. They wanted to go back there in 2013, but the people who the good people of the country club knew that when they had the 99 Ryder Cup there, they let too many people on the golf course. It's an old property. It's a very small footprint. And so the USGA is going to cap crowd sizes this week so that people can move around a little bit better. Gil Hance came in a few years ago and did a restoration of the country club. It's a great shot maker's golf course. One of those old style golf courses where you got to put the ball in the fairway, then you got to put the ball in the right place on the greens. It looks like they're going to get perfect weather this week. I think the first day that it might be in the high 80s with a possible thunderstorms, but other than that, it's going to be like in the low to mid 70s, and just perfect conditions out there for people to attack and go at this golf course. But it is a shot maker's golf course. You look at somebody like a McIlroy, if he has a great week with the driver, is putting the ball in the fairway, has short irons into those greens, he's going to be a tough guy to beat.
Zalatoris, baby. He's already had back-to-back top tens in the majors. He's had, 5 top tens in majors in the last 2+ years? I'm telling you, I think it's happening.
He's going to get a major eventually, and I've also said that I'm picking Xander Schauffele in every major until he finally wins one because he's going to also. And here's an outsider who's played really, really well this year, and he's a northeastern guy, Cam Young. He hits the ball about 6 counties. I mean, he just crushes the golf ball. But his name's been on the leaderboard an awful lot of times this year.
He's Ron Sirak. You'll see him on the Golf Channel. You can read everything that he writes, and he puts out a bunch of material at Ron Sirak, S-I-R-A-K, ronsirak.com. Follow him on Twitter at Ron Sirak. Ron, safe travels, and we'll talk to you down the road. Thanks so much for joining us.
Talk to you down the road, my friends. Always a pleasure.
Ron Sirak, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
By the way, love your pick. And if I were the Live Tour, I'd be going hard after Will Zalatoris.
He's right. Those are the guys they got to get. And clearly they're not going to get JT, and they're not going to get Rory. They're not going to get Rahm. They're not going to get Spieth. So you got to go after Schauffele, Morikawa, Zalatoris. Who's the Norwegian who won the U.S. Amateur there?
Victor Hovland.
There you go. That's who you got to go after. I mean, DeChambeau's a good start. 28 years old, won a major, moves the needle a smidge. There's only about 5 golfers that do that. But yeah, that's the nucleus you got to go after.
I do think, however, you're going to see a few more defectors after this week.
I agree. And I think you've nailed it. You'll get your defectors after the U.S. Open, and then you'll get your defectors after the Open Championship. Because there's no of it. They play at Portland at the end of June, and then they play in Jersey at the end of July with nothing in between. So if you wait until after the Open Championship, you're only missing out on one event.
Correct.
Miller and Moulton.
And like I said, I think they like to play a couple of those events before the Open Championship, a lot of the European players. So I think you'll see them continue with that. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. Pat Kirwan, next. WFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
To say that he's un-American and that, these guys and all the things that they're throwing at the golfers now. But what happens when the Trump factor comes into play? Because he's going to be there. I mean, this is to the PGA Tour and PGA of America. And him and Norman are buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Well, KW, it's interesting. We like the idea of the shotgun start, and a lot of people are mocking it. I mean, why have 12 hours of golf when you can narrow it down to 5?
Right.
Now, granted, with a small field, you can do a shotgun start. You may want to call him a touch earlier, 30 seconds or so earlier than you normally do. Because I don't think he's down here. So sometimes he can be a little more difficult to reach elsewhere.
I got you.
So now they're saying Serena's going to play Wimbledon?
Oh, they are?
She's apparently appears to have confirmed that she's playing Wimbledon.
Oh, I got that. Doo-doo-doo. We're sorry. You have reached a number that is not available.
He's good to go. He just texted. It's up to you. I mean, I was planning on one, segment, but
I think one.
Yeah.
I know you didn't listen, but did you see anything? Did they have an effort played?
Oh, I have no idea. No idea. They're not even alive to me. Not even alive.
David, the fact that I asked you shows you how much I pay. I just.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it is the third hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers, 79 days away from the start of the college football season. 86 days from tonight will be the Bills at the Rams to kick off the NFL season. If you're counting that whole Nebraska, Northwestern game in Dublin, week 0 of the college football season, which shows you the charm that college football has. They actually have games, and they call it week 0. That's 74 days away. Pat Kirwan is with us right now. He of NFL Radio, afternoons, moving the chains. He joins us once again courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West. Over a dozen locations in between Pinchers because you can't fake fresh. How the heck are you?
I'm doing well. We're in the middle of wide receiver groups, and there's a couple of real outstanding ones. The AFC's got 3 or 4 of them that are going to be in the top 10, and I think the NFC, Philadelphia, I just got done doing them. They're going to be a very good group. So I like it. I like what I'm watching. Everyone's spending money on the receivers because that's the name of the game right now. Just let them release off the line. Don't hit them. Don't do anything to them. And throw the ball. So a lot of talented guys in the receiver groups these days.
A little generic question, Pat, but I know with running backs, you said they had to have at least 3 running backs in a good wide receiver group. Is it 4 or 5?
It's 5, and the predominant personnel group is still 11, which is 3 wides on the field. So if you're playing 11 personnel 70% of the time, and many teams are, think about that. The third wide receiver's out there instead of the second tight end. He's out there instead of the fullback. And one guy gets hurt, you're down to the 4th guy, and you can't afford to be out of your personnel group. So some are carrying 7. I think most on average are 5 and a couple of 6s. But I had a 7 yesterday. Who was it? I think Tennessee had 7. I think sometimes there's 7 because there's no true number 1, and they're just trying to compete and make sure they got enough bodies.
I heard a little bit of your interview with former Titans receiver Kevin Dyson, in which you both were talking about just how necessary is a 3-day or a 5-day mini camp when you have young receivers. And he seemed to think, and you did as well, but you said, hey, are these 3 days as necessary as maybe I think they are? And he was like, oh, yeah, these are 3 big days for these receivers in Tannehill, which I think, Pat, most of us fans think that these days are not that important.
Yeah, the problem is communication. Like, think about the game. Handing off to a running back, you and I are close together. I'm handing you the ball. After you understand how to take a handoff and where to go, it's fine. But the receiver-quarterback thing is, first off, they line up 30 yards from the quarterback. And number 2, if there's no huddle, he's out there with hand signals. And then he's running routes. And you got to both be on the same page about coverage beaters. Most routes convert in this league. And so if I release and it's like X is the first read, X is looking to say, where are they in cover 2? Are they in cover 3? Here's my route against cover 1. And the quarterback and the receiver need to see the same thing at the same time. Although, because you can't throw after he gets open. You've got to throw before he's open, which means you got to trust that he's going to run a dig route right here. And I'm going to throw to that spot on the inside of him. So, yeah, you can make a lot of mistakes. Quarterbacks get blamed for interceptions, but I promise you, receivers have caused as many interceptions as quarterbacks.
Speaking of receivers, Tyreek Hill made some noise talking about Tua, saying he's more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Hey, look, I don't care whether he believes that or not, but I will say Tua is a very accurate quarterback. How far out of bounds is that statement to you, Pat?
Well, it's somewhat ridiculous because he's on I understand why he did it. He's trying to build up the confidence of his quarterback and make sure that his quarterback's throwing to him all the time. So the stronger the bond, the better. Didn't he already say that he thinks he's going to get more targets than Pat Mahomes threw to him? Well, I get the politics of Tyreek's position, but at the end of the day, I'll take Mahomes 100 straight times over Tua. And the accuracy thing to me is BS because one thing Tua hasn't shown us, can he throw off scheduled throws? Can he throw up his back foot? Can he throw like he's throwing a double play from shortstop to second base to first? So, yeah, some of Patrick's throws are not normal, but Tua has never demonstrated, and this is where Tyreek doesn't know what he's talking about. About 40% of Tyreek's receptions were from scramble plays by Patrick. Well, Tua doesn't scramble. He's either going to throw to you or take a sack or dump it down. So I'd be real careful about that. And I'm sure Pat Mahomes has had a laugh because he knows exactly what Tyreek's doing.
Don't know if you got to either or both of these teams yet, but the Dolphins and Bucs wide receiving core, the Dolphins went out of their way to make their wide receiving unit significantly deeper and obviously also better with the Tyreek Hill acquisition. But, Pat, do the Bucs have a proven third receiver? They've got a 1 and a 1A, but is that receiving core as deep as it had been the first 2 years under Brady?
I have done the Dolphins. They are going to be in consideration for the top 10, and I do think that they've done enough to be considered one of the best receiver groups, not the best, but Tampa Bay and in Chris, I'm not even sure that the 1A play that you referenced is going to be ready to go. So some about them. I have not done the NFC South yet, but I will be doing it today.
He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons. He joins us twice a week during the season and weekly during the off season at this time, courtesy of Pinchers. From Tampa to Key West, over a dozen locations in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh.
Outside of injuries, Pat, what do you look for with these mini camps? Is there anything that you pay attention to with each team reporting?
Well, I love going on, and I think a lot of coaches are pumping up guys that need confidence. And you hear nice things being said about players this time of year. Not a lot of guys ripping them because they're in shorts and they're not doing much. And if you heard me talking to Kevin yesterday, the receiver, we talked a lot about the pressure on high draft pick receivers that have drops in these mini camps. They feel the pressure right away, and it's hard to shake how you feel when you think the veterans are looking at you. And the quarterbacks can lose faith in you pretty quickly. And we did talk a lot about Burks, who has to replace Brown in Tennessee. And it's not just the expectations because he's a first rounder. He basically was brought in to replace Brown, and Brown was good early. And you wonder, can he be good early? Can this guy deliver all the things that are expected of him? So I'll be watching for the pressure points on those kind of guys. And the same thing can be said for tight ends that have to release, left tackles that are drafted. You know, you'll hear sooner or later that they're having struggles against speed rush or power rush. And it's unfortunate that we put all that heat on these first-round picks. I say it all the time, Mark, they didn't pick themselves in the first round. A club did, but the club is not going to take a lot of heat right now. But the player and the media will be after each other to kind of destroy these guys early.
All right, McLaurin doesn't show up for Washington's mandatory camp here. And, all right, a couple of issues. First off, if I'm Tennessee and or Indianapolis, I'm willing to give up a first-round pick for this guy, number one, if this dispute goes further. Number two, if Cooper got $20 million a year from Dallas, and I know he's been dealt, but if Amari's $20 million a year, as much as I love McLaurin, I don't think he's better than Cooper. I mean, don't you think the market for McLaurin's around 17 or 18 per?
He won't sign it. We've cracked the 20 mark, and some guys have cracked the 25 mark. And you know, and I know, and Mark knows that if you wait it out and 4 or 5 deals get tagged in the 20 to 28 million range, then you're in that company. And fair has nothing to do with it. I don't think he'd sign that. And we'd have another, I don't know. I think there was a quarterback, Kirk Cousins, that took 2 franchise tags. They'll tag him. They're not going to trade him. They don't have anyone behind him yet. If you really look at that receiver core in Washington, they are not full of good receivers. They need Terry, and they'll just tag him twice if they have to.
All right, final question. Bruce Arians made the comment on NFL radio in which if Tom had not come back, I'd still be the coach. most people took that comment to be Bruce and Tom don't get along. Since Tom came back, I'm out of here. I took it to be Bruce wasn't going to saddle his guy, okay, with Blaine Gabbert type quarterback. Okay, a bad quarterback where he was going to only win 6 or 7 games. And that's why once Bruce was assured that Brady was coming back, that he could leave, and then this way his guy would have an elite quarterback. Which is it?
I'm with you. I think Bruce could have stayed, and his relationship is not as negative with Tom as everyone likes to think. I think he did not want to leave the cupboard bare. Look, I said this on this show months ago. When Bruce interviewed for this job, he had to get through an NFL search committee at the league office, and he said to that committee, because I have friends on that committee, he said, my vision for this job in Tampa is to, 1, build something and then walk away from it, but it'll be built right and all the pieces will be there in place to make the transition. 2, I'm going to hire female coaches. And then 3, I'm going to have minority coordinators. And from that group of coordinators will be the next head coach. And the guy actually did everything he said. But then he did say, I asked, and I don't know if you heard yesterday, I replayed my interview with Todd Bowles because it became more relevant yesterday than it was in March when I did it the first time. And the question I asked him then, which he answered again on radio yesterday when I said, what has Bruce told you is his role going forward? And Todd Bowles, who's pretty straight-laced, started laughing, saying, Pat, I don't really know what he's going to do. He told me, call me the ambassador. Then I said, well, he's been hanging around practice, and Tom did the same thing when he went back to Jacksonville with a whistle on, stopping Drew. And he goes, well, I don't think Bruce will do that, but we'll ask for his help. This is the most important thing he said. When we think it's needed. You tell me what that means.
He's Pat Kirwan. Moving the Chains weekday afternoons is where you can hear him along with his co-host Jim Miller on NFL Radio. Pat joins us weekly during the offseason, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, all the best to you and the family. We'll talk soon.
Hey, I don't have to say go Blades anymore. It happened.
Yes, it did, Pat. Yes, it did. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, RCB. I know Russell Gage was brought in, but you can't say Russell Gage was as good as AB. I mean, Russell Gage is the worst number 3 receiver that Tom's had since he's been in Tampa. But yeah, Gage told the story, by the way, when Tom Brady called him up and was recruiting him, and Gage was like, "Are you serious? Is this really Tom Brady?" I'm going to do a very brief recap, but then I'm going to talk about football, if that's all right.
That's quite all right.
$15 seconds.
Yes, it does, Jertharian. Yes, it does.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dave Hyde, South Florida Sun Sentinel, will join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. If you're just joining us and pretty much just waking up, if you missed it last night, Warriors beat the Celtics by 10, 104-94. 1-point game going to the fourth. Warriors scored the first 10 points of the fourth quarter. Game was never closer than that the rest of the way. Garbage time, the final 2+ minutes. Golden State up 3-2. Game 6 in Boston on Thursday. Stanley Cup Finals get underway tomorrow night in Colorado. Avs are favored in the series and solid Game 1 favorites, which Miller and Moulton don't understand, at -160. Our poll question, floridasportsnetwork.com. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup, Lightning or the Avs? That's our question.
Right now, 72% of you say the Lightning. Go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or flsportsnetwork.com to vote.
Braves have won 12 in a row. They did lose second baseman Ozzie Albies to a fractured left foot. That sounds like a 2-month deal. So mid-August, they are for the Braves. But then again, they won the World Series last year, losing Acuna and 3 other guys. So they've shown how resilient they been in the past. But Braves over the Nats 9-5. Marlins lost another 1-run game yesterday. Rays back in action tonight. Phil met with the media at the U.S. Open yesterday. Didn't really say much. And we'll see how this plays. I mean, listen, Phil's not going to be a factor. Phil's not even going to make the cut at the U.S. Open. But we'll see how DeChambeau is coming back from the injury. DJ.
How DJ plays.
And who knows?
Look, if you could somehow figure out a way to give me a Saturday I'm not even being greedy here, David. I don't even need it on Sunday. Can you give me a Rory DJ pairing on the weekend? At any point.
It would be interesting. I don't know that DJ, I don't know if he's going to be impacted by all of this. I think he's the one guy leaving the PGA Tour, joining the LIV series that is not going to be affected by it. I really don't.
LIVIN. Just living.
I think DeChambeau, it's going to bother him. It's going to have to take him a while. We'll see. Quick question. How do you think the fans, the New England fans, are going to react to Phil, DeChambeau, DJ? What percentage of fans will turn on them compared to how they would have been greeted a year ago at this time?
Tiny numbers on Phil. I think both DJ and DeChambeau get a little grief. Where you may even hear a few boos in the crowd when their name's announced on the first tee.
I think you'll get some heckling though. I think Phil could get a little of the Sergio treatment that he used to get,
especially when he's 6 over after 5 holes.
Right.
No, I mean that's part of it.
Right. Which you and I think is going to happen.
Because when it goes badly, they will pile on.
Right.
That's a Northeast tradition unlike any other, David.
The Masters on CBS. Heckling in the Northeast. We just had Pat Kirwan on. Do you agree, by the way, with his theory and my theory that when Bruce Arians made the comment on NFL radio on Monday that, listen, if Tom had stayed retired, I'd still be the head coach. But since Tom came back, then, I retired. And our theory is it's because he was not going to saddle his guy, Todd Bowles, with a Blaine Gabbert, Kyle Trask quarterback situation where you go 6-11, 7-10 out of the chute, and then everybody's dumping on you and all that. He wants Todd to succeed.
100%. This is his second crack at head coaching. I am telling you right now, this has nothing to do with any relationship between Bruce Arians and Tom Brady other than a positive one.
But there were many in the media, and I know Arians tried to make that point, but there are many in the media that tried to stop the answer, if you know what I mean. Just they took it as, Arians said, if Brady had stayed retired, I'd still be the coach. Because you could, if you stop the answer, then say that's Arians basically saying, I'm done with Brady.
And I don't see it that way at all. I'm with the two of you, have been from the get-go on this. This is just an opportunity to set up one of his guys. And you go a second time as a head coach.
Oh, this is it. You got to win.
You're done.
Yeah, you got to win. Todd Bowles, 4 years with the Jets. His first year, he had arguably the best year of Ryan Fitzpatrick's career. Fitz, by the way, who I think will be great in broadcasting. He just retired. He's going into broadcasting. I think
he should be doing the Notre Dame games.
Mike Golick should be doing the Notre Dame games. But
the
yes,
Fitzpatrick thing.
No doubt. No doubt.
Was an easy one.
Yep. So, and then Fitzpatrick kind of got hurt and then went and played a little inconsistently, which is kind of his career. And sure enough, the Jets had basically 6-win seasons after that, and Bowles got fired and became a coordinator again. All right, I'm going to throw it out there. Bucks don't have a 4th-round pick in next year's draft. I don't think they have a 7th either. They may only have 5 draft picks. But I'm calling up Cleveland. I'm offering you a 2024 4th-round pick for Baker. I'll pick up $4 to $5 million of his salary. You pick up the rest.
Well, that seems to be the hard part. I mean, they've not been willing to pick up even 50%, let alone 75%.
Right.
But you have to at least understand, David, when you're making these trades, you're going further than anybody's even tried to get them to go, and they're not willing to go half.
Yep.
Could I get you at half? Just
No,
at half.
no, I can't pay. I can't. He's $18.9 million. I can't pay $9+ million for a backup quarterback. And not only that, he's backing up Tom Brady. And Brady won't even come off the field for the kneel downs. No. I'll pay $4 million. I mean, if you catch me drunk, I'll pay $5 million. But no. Here's the deal, though,
Have another
Cleveland.
drink and let me get you to a third of it.
Well, you had your whiskey poll question out there. A few of those neat.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you, Brockmeyer. But I'm being serious, though. Yeah, your answer in April and May was your answer. It's June 14th now. You're 6 weeks away from training camp. And you, by the way, with everything going on with Deshaun Watson, you told Baker, stay the hell away. So he's not in your plans.
No, at
he's
all.
not your rescue mission. All right. Once again, I'm going to give you a 4th-round pick in 2024. Think about it this way. Not offering you a 4th-round pick in next year's draft coming off a Brady-led season where they'll probably win more games. I'm offering you a 4th-round pick in 2024, which will likely be a better draft choice because you probably won't win as much.
Yeah, you're betting against Baker. That's the guy that should be starting by the time this is done.
And who knows? Baker may leave. Baker may not decide he wants to stay and replace Brady. He may want to play elsewhere. But if I'm Tampa, this is a Super Bowl year.
No, I from Tampa's end, I get it, David. I just have to see what I can do with San Francisco before I make this deal if I'm Cleveland.
Because that's the offer. And it's a standing offer, by the way. But I would say to the Browns, just so you know, first day of training camp, the offer's off the table. You got 6 weeks.
Love to see it.
Because one, I still think I can win games in January with my team with Baker. I can't with the guys I have behind Brady now, number one. Number two, I'm trying to do what the Saints did with the whole Jameis thing. I'm trying to get them in, and I'm trying to go, dude, this could be your franchise. Not a lot of franchises out there offering you starting jobs right now, as you could tell. But if you play ball with us, buy
Learn
in.
from the best that's ever played. You have a job possibly waiting for you.
Yeah. Because think about it. I mean, if you're Tampa, can you guarantee me you can do better than Baker Mayfield in 2023 right now?
No.
Think about where you'll be drafting.
Right, correct.
Right. So I'm willing to do that. Dave Hyde, South Florida Sun-Sentinel. Huge Dolphins story, only getting bigger. Next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What are you listening to music over there?
Say again.
Were you listening to music over there?
There's a video playing very loud, yes.
Here's the deal with Garoppolo. He has an injury clause in his contract, and because of the shoulder surgery and how long this is dragged out, basically $8 million roughly of his 26 and change salary is going to be guaranteed for this year, but they can save $18 million against the cap by releasing him. The Browns can't save a penny with Baker. It's 18.9. It's fully guaranteed. So whether they keep him or cut him, Baker's going to count 18.9 against the Browns cap.
Unless they trade him.
Unless they trade him.
That's the difference in San Francisco. It's 18 going out as opposed to the 8 if they cut Garoppolo. It'd be 10 more million on their cap.
Well, no, it's because his salary is like 26 and change. So he's going to count 8.5 million basically this year, whether he's there or not, Garoppolo. But they would save 18 million if they get rid of him.
Okay. So in essence, it's nothing for them.
And that's why what we talked about, if they traded Mayfield for Garoppolo, Baker's
it's the same as cutting him.
Baker's
for the Niners.
Right. Baker's 18.9 gets added to Garoppolo's like 8.5.
Right.
You add that up, and it's basically what Garoppolo's contract would be if they kept him for the whole year. Well, our suggestion going back at least a couple of weeks was Garoppolo for Baker straight up. I actually think Baker's skill set fits the Shanahan offense perfectly, and that would be a solid backup option.
Baker was injured last year. The guy can play a little bit.
Yep.
Oh, Baker with Debo. I like the sound of that.
Garoppolo, I think, is much more likely to get released, Dratherion, than Baker. First off, if you're the Browns, just hold on to Baker. I mean, wait for somebody's quarterback to get hurt. And then you could, make a deal. You can't save a penny by getting rid of Baker Mayfield if you're the Browns. Not a penny.
He's on hold or back in 10.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
The home stretch for those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dave Hyde has been good to us over the years, columnist for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Hyde Sports. That's Hyde, Hyde, Dave Hyde Sports. Dave, it's David and Mark. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you doing?
Well, we're fine. Could you, I don't know, fill in a few more blanks for us on this Brady, Sean Payton going to the Dolphins story, which now seems to be more real than ever? I mean, what's this Sean Payton part of the equation that you wrote about?
Yeah, well, where to start with this one, because it has many forms, but the bottom line is the Dolphins went after Tom Brady, recruited him, and Tom had almost gone to the Saints when he went to the Bucks. You go back and look, Drew Brees was hesitating. Does he come back for another year or not? And if he hadn't come back, what I was told was likely Brady was going to go to the Saints. And so Brady and Sean Payton had a good relationship. Not, it didn't start there, but it shows you that they had some relationship. And if Brady came to the Dolphins, as was being discussed, first in an executive role, and then if he wanted, which was expected, to unretire as he did with Tampa Bay, he was only going to come if he had a proven coach, a guy who had, he trusted, who was won big, knew how to coach, because he was coming, maybe 1 year, possibly in a dream scenario, 2 years. Who knows? We've been saying that for Brady for a while, but so that's how Sean Payton got involved. Vic Fangio was going to be the defensive coordinator, who's one of the best, if not the best, defensive coordinator in the league. And a few others assistants were coming, and the number that Peyton and the Dolphins were discussing was 5 years, $100 million, $20 million a year, not bad. And so it was all moving in perfect synchronicity, and then Brian Flores' lawsuit came, and that made everybody jump off the wagon, because with Dolphin owner Steve Ross being involved in it, it presented too many questions of where's the franchise going, what would Ross be the owner, et cetera, et cetera. And so Brady, if you look, it's very interesting, because I was like scratching my head. I didn't know what was going on when the Dolphins, they interviewed Mike McDaniel and Kellen Moore 1 week, and then they said, we'll do the second interviews with them next week. I mean, like they had this pause in their search, like it was very weird. And now nobody else was interviewing McDaniel. Kellen Moore was off the board for everybody else. So it isn't like, these were hot commodities they had to hire right away. But it's interesting. There was this big pause there. And if you look, that's right in the middle of that February 1st, which is when Flores filed his lawsuit. So they were all set up to bring in these guys. And Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk, reported it first about Brady and Peyton. And when it came out, I kind of rolled my eyes like, no chance. But in the weeks afterwards, the more people I know, this thing was all set up.
Dave, how impressed are you that they were able to keep this as quiet as they were? I mean, in today's world, we don't see this very often. As you were digging through this, how impressed were you by the Dolphins from keeping this under wraps?
Yeah, well, that's, I guess, probably was part of my initial reaction when Mike Florio reported it. Was come on, that ain't that. But it was only under wraps for, a couple weeks, I guess, a few weeks at the most. before it fell apart because of the Flores lawsuit. So, but yeah, I mean, because of the number of people involved, I remember going way back when Jimmy Johnson went to Dallas and all the moving parts in that. David Shula, who was the Dolphin coach at the time, and he was going to Dallas with Jimmy, turned to Dave Wanstead, I believe, and he goes, "How is this being kept under wraps? It's so big," because it involved Tom Landry. And so sometimes it takes a while for stories to shake out. And I guess this was another case of that.
He's Dave Hyde, outstanding columnist for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Hyde, Hyde, Dave Hyde Sports. Listen, both Brady and Sean Payton were under contract, though. So how confident were the Dolphins that they were going to be able to acquire both? I mean, I can see where you can build up the leverage. Sean Payton can go to his GM and go, "Listen, Mickey, either trade me to the Dolphins or I'm going to, take a year off." And Brady could look at the Bucs and go, "Listen, either trade me to Miami or I'm going to retire. So you might as well get something for me." But how confident were they were going to be able to acquire both?
Yeah, I think exactly that's the exact scenario that would have played out. Peyton was going to take a year off, and I don't know Peyton. I don't know all his particulars or anything like that. But from what I'm told, the Dolphins were going to give. They were going to try to see a first round pick for Sean Payton in the second round. Given it has nothing to do with their talent or anything, but it just has to do with their, obligation to the team they were at, and as you said, the contract standing. And now let's remember, Sean Payton had been there forever. New Orleans didn't want to get with Sean Payton, and the same with Brady. He hadn't been there forever, but he delivered everything they could have expected. So I don't think there would be a major fight in that regard, but that certainly was part of the discussion too, that there would be some compensation.
Dave, I'm just curious, how do you think this does it matter how this sits with the Dolphins now? Does it matter that Tua was again trying to be replaced? First it was Deshaun Watson, then it was Tom Brady. They're both better, I get it. But do you think this matters at all for the season going forward for the Miami Dolphins?
Well, it matters in this respect that Mike McDaniel and Tua have a great opportunity this season, okay, and to prove who they were. And look, that's a trade that a team that feels it's a player away makes. I mean, they gave up their whole draft and spent $120 million or contracted dollars on Tyreek Hill. And so they're saying we can win now. And McDaniel's going to have the chance. He's got a lot of talent added on offense that that he's going to have to whip it together quick. And same with Tua. He's got all better parts on offense to work with. Now, how this affects all that is what happens next offseason. Let's say we're into uncharted territory with Tom Brady's career because of his age. But let's say he has another great year like this, where he led the league in yards, and I don't know all the stats, but he led the league in a lot of categories. And Sean Payton's still out there, and the Dolphins don't make the playoffs and somehow don't meet whatever standards we put on or Steve Ross puts on them. Is this in play again? I have no idea, but considering how far it went down this year.
Two things for me, Dave. One, it just seems as if Brady, much like Peyton, is going to be in some way part of the Broncos organization. He's going to decide how big of a role he's going to have. It seems as if Tom and Giselle have decided they're going to retire in Miami, and therefore Brady is going to, because of his connection with Stephen Ross, going to be involved in the Dolphins in some way, shape, or form. Is that a fair conclusion?
It's probably a fair conclusion now. Who knows with Brady how things or opportunities might present itself. I mean, I'm sure he didn't expect to be offered a $375 million contract from Fox to do, or when the season's over, or however that works. But his connection with the Dolphins especially is with Bruce, who's the Dolphins owner in waiting. He's the guy behind Steve Ross. The league sets up. He travels with the. He works with Ross. But the other opponent to this is Brian Flores' lawsuit against Steve Ross. He's made, and there's a court case coming, and if the allegation is that Ross offered $100,000 for each loss near the end of the 2019 season when the Dolphins were in position to get the first overall pick. And if that, depending on what happened, let's take worst case scenario for that is proven true. Imagine if a gambler went to a head coach in the NFL and said, "I'll give you $100,000 for each loss." There would be Justice Department all over that, and arrests and controversy. It's worse if an NFL owner does it. So I think the league would be take up whether Steve Ross would be allowed to keep his, or somehow pressure on him to sell the team, and then what happens then? So things that have to play out before we get to where this could go next.
Dave, as always, we appreciate you making time for us. All the best. Safe travels.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Dave Hyde, tremendous columnist with the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. You can follow him on Twitter at Dave Hyde Sports. That's Hyde spelled Hyde, Dave Hyde Sports. We were just talking last segment about Baker Mayfield. Bleacher Report just at the end of that interview released a story. Talks heating up between Cleveland and Carolina. The only sticking point, apparently they've agreed on compensation. The only sticking point is how much of Baker Mayfield's salary the Browns are going to take on.
Darnold?
No. What the Bleacher Report's reporting is it's just a straight up trade.
Just a straight Baker for some sort of compensation.
Right. And that Baker, I guess, will compete with Sam Darnold. Both guys entering the final year of their contracts. Guys who went first and third overall in the draft.
Sharing the same quarterback room.
Right. Now, they may release Darnold. They may not want him around. But that's what Bleacher Report reported.
What would you do if you were
ago.
Carolina, if you picked up Baker? Would you dump Sam Darnold?
No, I would not.
I wouldn't either. I'd have a competition. No. How can it hurt at this point?
Yeah. And also, I think I have to win if I'm the head coach this year. I've got to be damn close to 500. And what if I dump Darnold and Baker gets hurt again? So, no, I wouldn't.
I'm with you. Particularly, you're getting Baker, you're not paying the full freight, whatever the case may be. So your quarterback room's pretty inexpensive at the end of the day.
So that's according to Bleacher Report, literally in the last couple of minutes. Baker Mayfield to Carolina, talks heating up. The big stumbling block, holdup, is how much of the $18.9 million are the Browns going to eat? I think they're going to eat more than they planned on, because I don't think there's a whole lot of demand.
It doesn't appear as if there's really any. I mean, you and I have brought up the Bucs. I've seen it written here and there, but I mean, there's no major talk about that trade. There's no major talk, a tiny bit about the Niners, but that's just hearsay. That's not actual negotiations.
It goes back to, though, what we were talking about late last week. So, by the way, there's a report out there that 2 more women are going to file civil suits this week against Deshaun Watson, and the number's now going to be 26. So if you're the Browns, I mean, can you really right now plan on him playing for you this year? Or could he end up on the commissioner's list where it's a paid suspension, essentially? And if you trade Baker, you got Jacoby Brissett. And it's been proven in multiple places. He ain't a starting quarterback. And your roster's good enough to win that division.
And I'm telling you, as you mentioned, 2 more cases appear to be coming out. Is it the attorney who has represented all these women is the one who has made the claim that there are 2 more coming out. That's where the story's coming from. So I believe it to be true since he's representing all 24 cases thus far. Deshaun Watson's not playing football this year.
I don't think he is. Not before Thanksgiving. No. I don't think so. And if you're running that organization, I mean, does Sam Darnold interest you? Is Sam Darnold better than Jacoby Brissett? I'm getting Jimmy G if I'm Cleveland. I ain't playing around.
And maybe that's why they're dumping Baker now to try to have some ammo to get Jimmy G.
He's gone to the NFC Championship game 2 of the last 3 years. And I have the most salary cap room in the league, by the way. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
John Smith subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith subs. Find a John Smith subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith subs. Find a John Smith subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
The podcast, no laying up. Don't.
Yep.
Rom is playing a practice round with Phil and Kevin Na. Now, Rom and Phil are tight. You know, Rom's
Right, Arizona State.
right brother was his coach, and right, Rom waited around for Phil after the PGA last year. So apparently, no, Horschel, who won the Memorial,
Mm-hmm.
he was on the tee with Kevin Na and Gooch yesterday. And so he was playing, practice with him. And Spieth walks up onto the tee and congratulates Horschel for his win, blah, blah, blah. And Na and Gooch are right there. And they go to say something to him, and he just turned around and walked away. Well, logic, man. I mean, hell, if a cup party can't be fun, then they don't know how to throw a party. So, hey, fun-filled night of family entertainment.
Twitch chatter, anyone, any word on a possible parade?
No.
No, there's no parades.
Damn.
They did last time they won one. They had a little stupid parade.
In the parking lot or in
Went through
Estero?
Estero and
Oh, really?
Yeah. Don't kid yourself. I think they went over Mount Estero.
Mount Estero. You're talking about here?
Yes.
Are you referring to the bridge?
Yes.
Mount Estero.
The highest point in Estero right there.
There you go.
Either that or Mound Key, which is also a fake mound that was built by the Calusa Indians of shells. It was the highest point in Lee County.
No way.
Yeah.
Huh.
Here's a fun little poll question by Chris Sims. Give your team an average supporting cast. Which QB would you want on your team for this and just this season? Allen, Burrow, Herbert, Mahomes. I think I'd go Allen.
Allen, Herbert,
Burrow, Mahomes. Average supporting cast.
I'd go Mahomes.
I'd go Allen because he gets me more yards with his legs. That's.
Yeah, but Mahomes can run. He just doesn't. It's not their offense.
Yes.
I think I'd go Allen also. Because 3rd and 2, he can run off tackle for a first down.
We're coming back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Blades had their little party last night after winning the Kelly Cup. Apparently a good time was had by all. Be curious to see how many coaches and players are back with the team next year. Golden State won by 10. They're up 3-2 in the finals. Stanley Cup finals get underway tomorrow night. That's our poll question. If you're just joining us, who do you think is going to drink out of Lord Stanley's Cup, the Lightning or the Avs? Colorado considered the favorite.
Not in these parts, David.
Well,
not in these parts.
I think that the people setting the odds don't follow hockey. To be honest. I asked the question earlier. I'll ask it again. Name the last time the better defensive team with superior goaltending loses in the finals.
It's a dadgum good point, David.
And yeah, I think Colorado will be every bit the test that Toronto was offensively. Maybe even more so. Because Toronto, while Colorado's got an elite first line. Toronto had an elite first line. Toronto didn't have a Cale Makar, a defenseman who could move the puck like that and create that much pressure on you.
And that much space for the forwards.
Yes.
That's the other thing. When you have a defenseman like that, what Tampa did such a great job of, and Fox is a gifted defenseman for the Rangers.
He is.
But what Tampa did a great job was just really clogging the neutral zone. I think Makar's a better skater than Fox. He can get entry into the zone by himself.
Yes.
At times that even Fox was unable to do.
I do think special teams will be big here. I mean, the Rangers power play, which was the best in the playoffs, but Colorado's is right up there. I mean, Edmonton, Colorado, I mean, it's a top power play, and Tampa's got to stay out of the box. Colorado's speed may draw more 5-on-5 penalties than the Rangers and Panthers even drew.
And it is fascinating because outside of, well, I mean, Tampa played Colorado light. It was the Florida Panthers. There's just not a McKinnon and a Makar on that team. There's maybe more depth on the Florida team that
they thought they had. Okay. They thought, they had Barkov and they had Huberdeau. And I mean, listen, I don't know if anybody has, maybe Josie in Nashville, because like you said, Fox is I think, one of the top 5 defensemen in the league and one of the 3 best offensive defensemen, and he ain't Cale Makar.
No, he is not. So Makar is the difference. And your point about the power play is accurate, David, but I was lured into that mistake in the New York series and saying, well, they got to stop. No, they don't. Take your damn power play goal. Score 5-on-5 against me. Because if you can't do it, you're not going to win. And that was a sucker play that I got caught. And I didn't pick the Rangers, but in talking about the power play, just get a goal a game. Give me 1 goal in the power play. Well, that's about all they could muster up because they couldn't do a damn thing 5-on-5.
They were holding Florida and the Rangers to essentially a goal a game at the end. Florida scored 3 goals in the 4-game series. The Rangers scored 5 goals, I believe, in the final 4 games of the series and lost all 4. So, in those 8 games, they gave up 8 goals. Colorado's not going to be held to a goal a game.
No.
And I don't know if they're going to be held to 2 goals a game either during a stretch. I think if you're Tampa, I think this is a series, though, in which first 1 to 4. All right. I think Tampa will win a 3-2 game, maybe even a couple of them. But overall, I think, and I have more confidence that Tampa can get to 4 than Colorado.
And I think there's going to be one game that'll fool your theory. Colorado may have one explosive game, like the Rangers had an explosive game, that they may get to 5 or 6 once.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, they're explosive.
Particularly in game 2 after they lose game 1.
Yeah, you and I love Tampa tomorrow night. Well, Colorado's got the same 9-day layoff Tampa had. We saw how different they were after 9 days off.
And Tampa just played a hard-fought 6-game series. They're feeling it.
And they're probably getting Braden Point back, which will really help them. Also, it now gives them 2 really good centermen to take faceoffs, because Stamkos had a really good end of the Rangers series at the dot. Somebody asked in our Twitch chat room, what do they think they'll do with Braden Point? I think they'll start him off because normally he's center in the second line. I don't think he will. I think they'll put him on the 4th line to start, but I think that he'll be out there taking key faceoffs. If they're trying to protect a 3rd goal lead, I think you could see Point out there with Stamkos, having 2 guys in case one gets tossed. I think right away that Cooper will put Point out there for faceoffs.
And penalty kill.
Yep. And work his way in. I don't know if he'll put him on the top line or the top 2 lines right away. I think he may let him play the 2 games in Colorado on the 3rd/4th line. And then, okay.
Well, he's been, Cooper's been really just rolling those top 2 lines over and over and using the 3rd and 4th about, 2 of every 4 runs, if you know what I mean.
It will be interesting. The Cirelli line, which has shut down the Barkov line and shut down Mika and Kreider 5-on-5 in the last 4+ games of that Rangers series. Well, okay. Good luck. Good luck. I mean, those guys are all stars, and Kreider scored 52 goals and all that. He ain't what.
No, but they did it against Matthews. They did a pretty good job against Matthews as well.
I think he had like 4 goals in the series, but you're right. He didn't, McDavid did. He didn't 7 to 10 goals in the series. He didn't dominate the series.
And that's all you have to do. Hold him to 4 goals and hope to goodness that your star line can equal that, if not better it.
But it should be a terrific final, and we're excited about it. It'll begin tomorrow night. Game 6 NBA Finals will be Thursday. Boston's now lost 2 in a row for the first time in the playoffs. That's pretty remarkable. You can get this deep into a playoff run, be the first time you lose 2 in a row. Game 6 in Boston. You and I both love Boston in Game 6.
Absolutely. This series is going 7, coming back to the Bay for Game 7. Today is also National Bourbon Day, so I threw up a supplemental poll of how do you like your bourbon, neat, rocks, or mixer. I am impressed with our audience that there's only 4% more of you that ruin bourbon with the mixer as opposed to you that don't even bother to put ice in it. So for the 12.8% of you that go neat, more power to you. That takes a little bit. Like to see Felipe's face with a shot of out of the bottle bourbon. Just see that. You know that cringe that you make.
Well, I had that cringe because
that's right.
Because I'm a wuss, and for the last 20 or so years, I just drink beer. I don't do shots. I don't do hard liquor. And I would say, early 30s is when I stopped. And I don't quite know why. Maybe
I'll bring you back.
Well,
maybe it's time for you to go bourbon when you hit 6, when that first number is a 6.
When we did the PGA Megacast out in St. Louis, all right, after every show, there was a celebration. And I did not know that this was coming. And if so, I never would have walked in the room. But I was looking, where did everybody go? And so I went and I walked in, and, it was the makeup room, if you will. And it was for Joe and it was for Michael Collins, but there were a couple other people in there. And Joe was driving me. That was the arrangement. Joe said, stay at this hotel. That hotel is in between my house and the studio. I will pick you up and I will drop you off. Oh, okay. Thanks. So after all 4 telecasts, there was a shot.
By the way, and it was tequila, right?
Yes.
Because that's Joe's booze of choice.
Correct.
Was it neat, meaning warm?
Yes, it was not cold.
Okay.
And it was right. No ice involved. And it was a healthy shot. I will say this. It looked to be bigger than a shot. And I tried to go, guys, I don't really drink this. And they basically said, you'll be off the show the next 3 days if you don't drink that. So I had to not have Felipe face. And
you probably did anyhow without even,
I know I did on the inside. I know I did on the inside because I haven't had 4 tequila shots this century. Let me tell you.
You're saying I can't handle it?
I'm saying that if you had a sip of warm whiskey, you would make a face. You would make it very...
It's kind of hard not to.
It depends.
You're more experienced than I am.
That's right.
More aged.
And that very, very much. I'm old. If I would have had it at that age too, trust me, at your age, I was drinking chilled Jack Daniels. I've evolved in my bourbon drinking. So no, I totally get it.
Bourbon smells. It's good. It
smells wonderfully.
Yeah.
How it smells. Hopefully a little hint of caramel.
Boy, now I'm starting to think about what I used to drink when I was Felipe's age. My goodness.
Oh, rock gut.
It was, man. I was Irish Catholic, man. You and I at 21, 22. Whew, man. So
vote on our poll questions, Tampa, Colorado, or the bourbon question on National Bourbon Day. Sets itself up. No games tonight. Can knock down a couple of bourbon neats tonight.
That is true. It might be a baseball night for people out there. May have to. What do we got? Rays Yankees?
Rays Yankees.
All right. No money. Someone's paying for your bar tab. What's your go-to drink?
I'd be drinking about a bourbon at that time.
It's a bourbon. Yeah, it's got to be bourbon.
David would just be simply going with...
I would drink beer.
beer.
Yeah,
If he was
I've
really, if he's
transitioned.
really going nuts, might be a Stella or a Harp.
right.
No, I'm telling you. He's going imports. Moulton's
Right.
going imports, everybody. Look out.
Do you have Peroni? Yep, going nuts. I've definitely transitioned. Miller and Moulton. Bleacher Report reporting within the last half hour. Cleveland and Carolina working really hard to send Baker Mayfield to the Panthers. That would be, even if it's for a day, to have Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold in the same quarterback room. They were taken first and third overall in what, the 2018 draft?
Right.
Right. 4 years later, they're both in the same quarterback room.
For neither of them for the team that drafted him.
Oh, no.
Fighting for playing time.
And we're going to tell everybody the way the Rams are doing business is wrong.
Well, I don't think it's wrong. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10. Receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I love no lane up there at the Open, just showing practice rounds. Long of 7 equals not great, and they're showing someone chipping in grass that looks to, I mean, this is almost ridiculous when I'm looking at the rough around the greens.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. All right, don't yell at me. Just a point I want to make. I know I should have made it during the first hour of the show, but I was too busy complaining about how disappointing the finals have been in terms of the closeness of games. It took me an hour to get that out of my system. But, Mark, I can make the case next couple of weeks could be whether or not somebody besides the Yankees is going to win the AL East. They're 8 up on the Jays. They're 9 up on the Rays. Rays are going to play them 6 times in the next 9-10 days. 3 in New York. Then the Yankees go to Toronto. Then the Yankees come to St. Pete. And then when the Yankees return home, the Astros will be waiting. And the Astros pitching is as good as anybody's. By the way, Garrett Cole against Corey Kluber tonight in New York, Rays and Yankees. Yankees are overwhelming favorites, like minus 210.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And Cole gave up 5 homers in less than 3 innings in his last start. So, and Kluber, and He's got it going on. He threw a no-hitter for the Yankees last year, and he's actually been really good for the Rays so far. His ERA is right around 3. But so, here we go. I mean, the Mets, we saw it, the 10-game road trip, and we said, hey, life's going to get a lot harder.
Right. We did say they go 5-5 on the trip. It's going to be tough for them to lose the division. They did go 5-5. And with that, they still lost, 3 games to the Braves, 5 games to the Braves?
Right, because the Braves have won 12 in a row. And for that matter, the Phillies are 10-1 in the same stretch. And so now here we go. Yankees are clearly the best team in baseball right now. They're destroying people. Judge has stayed healthy. He's on pace. By the way, he's on pace to hit like 63, 64 home runs. If I can just sidebar here for a second. We've talked about this before. There's no one who's hit more than 61 home runs that is not linked to steroids. Because the 3 guys who have done it are named Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds.
Would be great for the sport to have someone else get that number.
Do you think that people, if Judge, not only that,
a Yankee.
Thank you.
People will, because it's a Yankee. People will pay attention. It won't be anything of what we will remember with Bonds and Sosa. I get it, or McGuire and Sosa, but it will be important, I think, especially to the New York fan. And that's a big part of the baseball fan.
It is, but I'm just wondering, and if you're Rob Manfred, by the way, Bud never did it, but hey, you're running the sport now. When Roger Maris was chasing Babe Ruth's record, now it was heavily criticized and it was eventually changed. But at the beginning of the 61 season, there was no asterisk attached to Mantle or Maris or anybody else if they were to break Babe Ruth's record. It was literally done in like August. The commissioner came out and said, just so you know, if anybody breaks the record, we're going to put an asterisk next to it because it's a 162-game season, and Babe did it in 154. I mean, if you're Manfred, if Judge, knock on wood, stays healthy and continues on this pace, and let's face it, if Aaron Judge stays healthy, he's going to be right there.
Playing in that ballpark?
And he's a tremendous player. Oh, yeah, in the final year of a contract, highly motivated. I mean, if you're Manfred, how tempted are you going to be to maybe do something bold? It would put your stamp on the sport in which, hey, you know what? Upon further review, we're going to put asterisks next to all these Sosa, McGuire, Bond seasons.
Oh, goodness gracious. While I love your train of thought here, I hate the idea of that.
Most of us do. However, most of us would also agree. If I were to ask everyone who's against the asterisk, if I were to ask them beforehand, if you could right a wrong, would you? I think 98%.
Most people would say yes. Of course they would. That's just human nature.
Right. And now if I tell you what, we can right a wrong, it involves an asterisk. I mean, if Rob
it's just
Manfred,
hard enough to say just off the get-go, let alone putting it somewhere. And then everybody's got to say asterisk all the time.
If Rob Manfred comes out and publicly says, hey, as far as we're concerned, they were all cheaters. And if Aaron Judge hits more than 61 home runs, we are going to celebrate that because you know what? Roger Maris Jr. will celebrate it. He's already said so. He said within our family, we still think Dad's got the record. We don't think anybody legitimately has hit 62 or more.
When do you start this campaign? Because I don't think you can do it at the All-Star game. It's not August 1, August 10th. When do you say this? Because if I'm in the room as your PR guy, I'm going, Rob, I'm not against this, but when are we doing this? Because the All-Star game's too early to put that kind of pressure on Aaron Judge. He's got to get to 50.
He's got to get to, I think he's got to stay healthy into August. Trade deadline's August 2nd in Major League Baseball this year. I think I may start the campaign August 3rd. Just throwing it out there. But
he's also batting .318. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and he's on
And he
pace.
stayed off the IL. That's the biggest. I mean, that's the biggest thing between now and August. Does he stay healthy? I don't care what his batting average is. Just stay healthy.
I mean, he's already had a 50-plus home run season. But he's on pace right now. I mean, what's he got, 23? They've played a little over 60 games.
24, I think.
Okay. I mean, the other day before the Cubs series, and, my goodness, they're still hitting homers against the Cubs. But before the Cubs series, he was on pace for between 63 and 64 home runs. A New York paper's already done the story with Roger Maris Jr.
By the way, that 50 home run season was quote unquote his rookie year.
Right. And he's yet to hit free agency. He's gonna at the end of the year, though.
And boy, is he going to get paid.
They've played 60 games. I mean, he's at 23 or 24 home runs.
24 home runs, 48 RBIs, 318 average.
24 homers in 60 games. Do the quick math here.
That's one every
That's
2 points.
40%.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he's homering in 40% of his games. So you do that with 162. He's on pace for 65 home runs right now. 65. Now, that's if he's playing every game. Let's give him a few days off. So 63.
But still,
there you go.
The numbers within reason.
And by the way, it's getting warmer. The ball's actually going to start traveling farther. Now, in theory, they're going to play better teams here, better pitching. Rays, Jays, Astros. So, I mean, maybe the pace slows down, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but they still get to play the Orioles a few more times. And there's still enough.
Right. And besides, it's not like it's kind of like the guys who can hit it 350 off the tee. It's not like there's a ballpark you can't hit it out of.
Correct.
And remember, he's not a left-hand hitter at Yankee Stadium. He's a right-handed hitter. Although he does hit a lot out to right center. Just another reason why he's such a threat. But just two things. First off,
he's a monster. We know why he hits him in
unreal.
right center? Because he's a flipping monster. As someone said, he looks like a WWE wrestler at the plate. That is not an exaggeration to any of us. That's a big man right there.
I mean, he looks like a power forward. He was a power forward.
Looks like an edge rusher. A stand-up edge rusher. He's so big. But so you got Yankees Rays tonight, beginning with 3-game series. You got to figure if you're the Rays, you need to take 4 out of 6 here in the next 10 days against the Yankees if you're going to stay in it in the East. But just want to throw that out there.
And the Jays, as we said, their schedule gets favorable for what Toronto has coming up. Miller and Moulton, we thank you so much for listening. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. All still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart,
they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I guess her stars were 5-pointed and the other guy's stars were 6-pointed.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson. He's back, baby.
General Washington showed her a rough design of the flag that included a 6-pointed star. She changed it to a 5-pointed star.
Gotcha. It's all going to be important here.
I understand.
So you guys mentioned the Astros, the asterisk on their championship. Does that make the Nationals championship in 2019 one of the most impressive ever? Because they were still going at that crap during that series. Also, I don't think there was a single home win in that series. It's one of the weirdest World Series I've ever seen in my life. But the Nats won. Despite the Astros cheating. Juan Godo.
Wow. The Illinois congressman's 17-year-old daughter died.
Yeah, I
this
saw
morning.
that.
Jeez.
And Charlie Sheen's daughter's on OnlyFans.
On what?
OnlyFans. He's not happy.
Hmm.
Blaming the mother.
Yeah, Charlie. So the Betsy Ross story is that George Washington went to her.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this story here?
Just to the adopts the Stars and Stripes flag designed by Francis Hopkinson, replacing the Grand Union flag. That's the Stars and Stripes started today in 77. It is Flag Day.
Right.
So it makes sense.
Which didn't become Flag Day, I think, till like 1877. I think.
1916.
Okay.
I literally looked things I look up for this show crack me right up.
Yeah, saw that about Anthony Grant. By the way, Comer became a dad
Yep.
a couple days ago.
I saw that.
Yep.
Crazy.
I was Dratharian. You have me right. Anytime I see boxer knock someone out video, I'm apt to watch it.
Oh.
Miami Dolphins, if they don't beat the Patriots week 1, could see themselves starting 0-4.
Ryan in the Twitch chat, you think the Nats were cheating too? Is that what you're implying? No. Come on. There's no way. We're coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch, 22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 2 poll questions today. 1 sports. Who's going to win the Cup, Lightning or Avs? And what's it? National
Bourbon Day, David.
Gotcha.
Should be able to stop by any of the Hallmark stores and pick up cards for the loved ones in your life.
So you're asking those, how do they like their bourbon, right?
Neat, rocks, or with the mixer. Right now, rocks is going to win. It's getting 63% of the vote. But the real story is, will neat beat out those who ruin bourbon with some sort of a mixer?
Mixer's going to beat neat?
Not right now.
I hope not.
But that takes, that's, as they say, puts the hair on your chest, drinking that neat, warm liquor.
Right. No, I understand.
Mr. Tequila.
I do. I do. Fortunately, plenty of hair on the chest and back. Okay, when I stop drinking the hard liquor.
All right, time now for
Leave it to the
Mark
oldest
Miller.
guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past.
Mark
Here's
Miller.
David.
Mark Miller.
Today was the day when
I sent it to her. Don't know what to tell you. Maybe she didn't like the script. I don't know.
1775, the U.S. Army first forms as the Continental Army to fight in the American Revolutionary War.
There you go. We're thinking about it. We're getting ready. These guys are really honking us off.
1777, the U.S. Continental Congress adopts the Stars and Stripes flag, which replaces the Grand Union flag. It was designed by Francis Hopkinson, and that is why President Woodrow Wilson declared today in 1916 as June 14th being Flag Day.
Meanwhile, there's the story out there that George Washington went to Betsy Ross, who was a seamstress in Philadelphia, and said, hey, here's kind of how I'd like the flag. And all the stars had 6 prongs to them, and she changed them and made them 5-star.
So there you have
or
it.
5-pronged.
There's all the Flag Day information. I feel like this is the Big Bang Theory, and we're doing Sheldon's fun with flags here.
And now you know the rest of the story.
1870, the Cincinnati Red Stockings suffer their first loss in 130 games.
What? They won 129 in a row?
Yes.
Who were they playing? The Washington Generals?
Seems that way. Today in 1876, George Hall of the Philadelphia Athletics becomes the first player to hit for the cycle. 1922, Warren Harding becomes the first president to use radio. Dedicates the Francis Scott Key Memorial in Baltimore.
100 years ago, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
Fun fact for you, David. Today in 33, both Lou Gehrig and Joe McCarthy were thrown out of a game. McCarthy gets suspended for 3 games and Gehrig isn't, so his streak continues.
Funny how that worked.
Today in 1946, Nat King Cole records the Christmas song for the first time. Just think of Night Court and all the Mel Tormes ringing the doorbell and it would play a Christmas song.
Right.
Fantastic. 1952, the U.S. Open. Julius Boros wins his first of 3 majors. It was today in 54 that President Eisenhower signs the order adding the words to "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. 58, Tommy Bolt wins his only major at Southern Hills, 4 strokes ahead of second place Gary Player. Billy Casper would win the Open in 59. In 65, Reds pitcher Jim Maloney would no-hit the New York Mets, but he would lose in 11, 1-0. In 60,
Well, wait, hold on. Then that can't count, can it? Or so he threw an 11-inning no-hitter.
Threw an 11-inning no-hitter, lost
What
1-0.
lost? Wow. That's tough to do.
1966, Miami beat St. Petersburg in the Florida State League 4-3 in 29 innings, the longest uninterrupted game in organized baseball.
Were they the Miracle?
Believe they were. Still should be. 75, Chrissy beats Martina for her second French. Today in 1976 on syndicated television, David, was our first ever taste of the Gong Show.
Dun, 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 dun.
The Falklands War ends today in 1982 after a 74-day conflict.
Can't believe it took them 10 and a half weeks to have a feeling they were stopping at 4 o'clock every day and having tea just to drag that sucker out.
87, the Lakers beat the Celtics in 6 for their championship.
That would be Larry Bird and the Celtics' last NBA Finals.
Pistons beat the Trailblazers to go back-to-back in 90. 92, the Bulls take down Portland for back-to-back. Guess who won the MVP? Michael Jordan.
What?
Yeah. Today is your day in 94, Mr. Moulton.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is. I have the AP copy at home. It's fading. 22:58 p.m. AP Bulletin. The New York Rangers have won the Stanley Cup.
Ending their 54-year championship drought. 55, the Rockets sweep the Magic. That's right. The Magic were in the NBA Finals.
And only had Shaq for one more year. Little did they know.
98, the Bulls beat the Jazz for their third consecutive title. It's going to sound crazy, but Michael won the MVP for the third straight year and the sixth time.
But think about it. It was 24 years ago tonight. We thought Jordan had hit his final shot.
2007, the Spurs edged the Cavs for a sweep.
Although Jordan did hit his final shot. Remember that final game in Philly? He was trying to sit out the second half. Doug Collins put him in. They inbounded the ball to Jordan. Like 3 Sixers ran and fouled him. So he went to the free throw line, hit both free throws, walked off the court.
And in 2009, the Lakers beat the Magic in Game 5 for the 15th championship in their history. Kobe, the MVP. Those born today that are no longer with us: Harriet Beecher Stowe, hockey coach Jack Adams, hockey player and coach Hap Day, Burl Ives, baseball player Don Newcomb, and former Tennessee basketball coach Pat Summitt. Those still with us today: former President Trump is 76 years old. Quarterback Vince Evans is 67. The aforementioned Fred Funk, David, is 66 because David was in a funk to start the show today. Eric Hyden is 64. Big Smooth, Sam Perkins, and Boy George are both 63 today. Steffi Graf is 53.
Hold on. I just need a moment. Okay, thank you.
And Sammy Watkins, pride of South Fort Myers High School, is 29 years old today.
Wow, still not even 30.
That's right.
Good for Sammy.
All right. And that, David, is today was the day when.
You know, you mentioned Steffi and tennis. Apparently Serena now, the word is she's going to play Wimbledon. Although I don't think she got her paperwork in time. So they're going to have to give her a wild card entry. It's just in. They better.
Damn right they better.
I mean, somehow I don't think Iga Swiatek is going to, really drive the tournament.
Well, the good news is it's Wimbledon, so no matter how they put her into the tournament, they'll seed her properly.
Well, even if they, what they should do is just make her unseeded. She hasn't played in a year.
In all seriousness, what would you seed her as?
Okay, this is Wimbledon in which you're supposed to see. She has not played in a year.
I know. That's why
I would ask her one question. I would. I go, hey, we're about to do the seedings. In what shape are you? You in good shape? Okay. What kind of shape are you in? And if she goes, I'm in pretty good shape, I'd be like, okay. And I'd seed her second. All right. Now, I know people would lose their minds. I'd go, well, the one woman's won like 36 consecutive matches. She deserves the one seed. Serena's won this thing like 7 times. Okay. And I don't care that she's 40, 41 or whatever she is.
That's what I was getting at.
If she says she's in good shape, I'm seeding her second. And I'd like somebody else to make the argument that she shouldn't be second.
And Wimbledon could do this easily. This is what they do. I don't know about the asking question about the in shape, but
right. Just, well, some have one of my people talk to one of her people and just find out. Listen, is she showing up and she's like at 3 practice sessions, or is she like ready to go? Oh no, she's ready to go.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
good starts out bad but turns fantastic. It's about a young man named Brody Ritter. He's a 6th grader at a charter school in Colorado. He was depressed and disgusted with himself because almost no one would sign his class yearbook. His mother, one of the teachers, said, "Hope you make some friends," as one of the teachers who signed it. Broke his mom's heart. She posted it to a Facebook group of parents at the school. Said she was overwhelmed by how much love and encouragement received from parents. But what the real kicker was one of the other parents' high schooler kids saw it. And it turned out about 20 kids from the high school showed up in the 6th grade class, walking the halls going, "Where's Brody at? Where's Brody Ritter at? Oh, he's in the back." And a plethora of kids came in, all had him signed. Some want to sign his yearbook. Some left their phone number to contact with him. Others who they were 10th graders said, "Just let me know when you get to high school. The seniors will be waiting for you." And a lot of good wishes. So good job.
Awesome.
Absolutely. For the back, we go to Cape Coral. Of course you are.
Stop it.
And we go to the Publix, where after being accused of looking up a victim's skirt at the Publix, a man decided to expose himself to everybody in the 12 and under line.
Unbelievable.
He made it out before he could be arrested.
What?
If you know who did it, Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers is looking for your help. They have security camera footage trying to track down who did this, but have not yet found the man.
They must not have had a security guard there. I've seen a lot more security guards in the last couple of weeks, ever since the Buffalo shopping center and the Texas school shooting. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot more security guards in places where you didn't normally see them.
No security guards needed for the ugly, David. Richard Keyser took his friend John Hoop fishing on the Ohio River. They were hoping to land Hoop his first blue catfish. He did. But the stomach was a little thicker than normal, and they pressed on, thought maybe it was eggs or something else the fish had eaten. But it wasn't until later that day that they found out what was inside the fish, because when they cut open the catfish, inside the stomach of the big fish, a foam ball and a fairly large size, cover the kid's ears, dildo.
Oh, damn.
That's right. The blue catfish had found a sex toy at the bottom of the Ohio River and swallowed it whole. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on this day, June the 14th, 2022.
Hold up.
Yikes. 16 games in the majors today. This is it, by the way. There's no basketball. There's no college baseball. There's no hockey. There's no USFL.
Is that a blue catfish in your pocket, or are you just
happy to see me? Rays are in the Bronx to take on the Yankees. Marlins continue their series in Philadelphia against the red-hot Phillies, who have won 10 of 11. Braves go for 13 in a row. They're minus 250 in Washington against the Nats. Max Fried against, well, a guy making his major league debut. Like Max Fried and the Braves there win their 13th in a row. One-day game. It's the first of two between the Pirates and the Cardinals at 1:15. But that's it. That's all you got tonight. Major League Baseball.
This is the time of year you should reintroduce yourself to your family.
Right.
How many days do we have until week 0?
74.
74 days you have outside of, basically 9 nights maximum. 2 more nights in the NBA, a maximum of 7 more nights in the National Hockey League.
Right. That's it. Better get used to it. Either reintroduce yourself to the family or start
baseball.
watching Major League Baseball.
Those are your choices,
Right.
family or baseball.
And I know with some of your families, you
Could be tomorrow's poll question.
that could be. So there was nothing else to watch last night. What'd you do? Spend time with family or watch Major League Baseball?
And besides, the family's going to be on their phones, playing games, doing whatever they do on a
Right.
tablet, watching a Netflix special.
I mean, they've already written you off, for goodness sakes. It is tough when you write them off to all of a sudden show up and go, hey, guys, what's going on? What you doing?
I try it, and they ignore me.
Yeah, exactly.
About 6:30, I got one on a tablet, the other one on the phone, and I'm like, hey,
Anybody want to
anybody want to talk?
talk? I cooked dinner. How was your day? Dad, leave me alone. So give it a shot. I mean, if don't get the reaction you want, you got hockey tomorrow night, basketball on Thursday.
We are entering the dog days of the sports summer.
Hey, thankfully the hockey and the basketball are staggered. Normally they're right on top of one another. At least we'll get an extra week to week and a half of hockey.
Hockey'd be done. Hockey's always done a few days before the final.
Yes.
I mean, hockey would have been this. We would be done with the Stanley Cup
Well,
right
think
now.
of the anniversary that I celebrate on this day, June 14th of 94. That was Game 7. And this is usually about as late as the hockey season goes.
Hit that post Canucks did there late.
Lowe hit a crossbar with 8 minutes to go, but there was a lot of iron in the third period of that game. Come on. 1 cup in 82 years. You're lamenting the fact that the Canucks hit a post with 3 minutes to play?
I was hanging out with a Ranger fan then too, and tormenting him the same way I torment you.
Come on, that's just
Billy
cold.
McLaughlin.
That is just cold. Remember, Mark, everybody deserves a parade. I didn't say a second one.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith's